And I think that both girls and boys deserve the information and the services and the policies and the enabling environment to live a healthy reproductive health and life. When communities are empowered, we know that things happen. And in a region like ours, Africa, where we have delayed policy implementation or action, we have constrained physical space, we have fragmented coordination, and also most often progress is stalled because of all these. Sasa is both a disruptor and a unifier, making advocacy to be smart, data-driven, and citizen-led. Again, when communities are empowered to shape the decisions that affect them, we move from temporary impact to a lasting one. We are proud to be part of this Southern-led, technically grounded alliance. And in Nigeria, we have seen how deliberate investments in building local advocacy capacity, political engagements, and grassroots partnerships can unlock policy shifts and increase funding commitments to strengthen accountability. But we also know that this work cannot happen in silos, and that is why Sasa creates a platform for cross-country collaboration, shared learning, and also collective action that goes beyond borders and builds resilience into our advocacy ecosystems. This is our chance. With data in our hands, communities at our side, and the Sasa Alliance is not just imagining a better future for Africa, but it's also imagining a better future for all the women and families, and it is securing it. I want to congratulate all of us here for taking this bold step and also commit as Pathfinder to work with all the consortium partners and everyone on this table to begin to walk this path and to sustain improvements. Thank you, everyone, and God bless.
Thank you very much. A warm round of applause, please. Thank you very much. I like that your advocacy is going to be data-driven and citizen-led. Thank you. The next person I'm going to invite is told me that he's very passionate about maternal and child health, including issues of reproductive health. And for him, it is also personal. When he goes to the villages, he has to see 1 or 2, even 3 graves at home. These are lives that were cut short because of PPH. And this is not just data. These are people he knew, relatives, family members. And he got into this space to help change that and make families not have graves in front of their houses because a mother bled to death because of giving life. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the country director of Japaigo, Paul Nyachai. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning once again. Morning at the back. Yeah, thank you. So again, our distinguished guests, our chief guests, Dr. Bashir, representatives from the Ministry of Health, our donor representative, Mr. Sam Mulianga, the National Council for Population and Development, implementing partners, CSOs from Kenya and other countries, our visitors from across Africa. Good morning. We really want to take this opportunity on behalf of Japaigo to welcome you to this official launch, and really again to thank members of the Sasa Alliance, Patrick, the PPDRO team, and Pathfinder for allowing us, Japaigo here in Kenya, to host you and to host this official launch. For me, I'm really excited that at this particular time, you know, when our world is really tough, it's difficult, we can have so many advocates seated, really passionate about maternal, newborn health, and family planning. Apologies, of course, the room looks small. We didn't think we would have as many advocates, but we really are shocked by the number of people who are here passionate about maternal, newborn health, and family planning. So my duty at this point will just be to welcome representatives from the Ministry of Health, who we all work to support. So we have the Kenyan team here, and I'll maybe just 3 representatives from the relevant division, the Division of Reproductive Maternal Health, from the Council of Governors, and from the National Council for Population and Development, just to come on and give maybe 1 or 2 welcome remarks on behalf of the government. So I think we will start with Dr. Albert Ndwiga from the relevant Division of Reproductive and Maternal Health. Just come and give a welcome remarks to the guests in this room. Please give me a clap as we welcome Dr. Albert Ndwiga.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm a bit hard of hearing, so it's good that you shouted the last one. My name is Albert Ndwiga. I work in the division of RAMCA in the Ministry of Health. And when I heard about Sasa, I thought it was a very nice name because it's a greeting in Kenya. So when I say Sasa, what are you going to say? No, it's not the power. When I say Sasa, what do you say? Fit, okay? Sasa? Sasa. That's what we'll be saying from now on. At some point in my young career, when I was young, I thought health is very important, isn't it? Especially maternal health, the health of babies. Surely nobody would not fund it, right? It will be automatic. A lot of money would be poured into quality services for mothers. Anybody who has ever thought like that before? Yeah, but does it happen? No, I learned the hard way that passion is not enough in the Ministry of Health. Passion is very nice to have, but it is not enough. You need data, you need proof, you need evidence so that you can be able to move people who do not have the same passion that you have. There are people who do not listen to tears. Some of us get very emotional when we are advocating for our mothers, right? But those tears are useless if we do not have the data that we require. My job here is to welcome all our visitors to the Republic of Kenya, in the city of the sun, the city in the sun, Nairobi, the only city with a game park next door. So if you might meet a lion on your way out. It's a beautiful place. So I'll start with Karibuni. Our neighbors to the north, Ethiopians, they feel at home. Don't leave in a hurry. The people have mentioned you don't need a visa to be here, so you don't. Something happened, but I'll come. So most welcome and feel at home. Please, as we launch this consortium plus them
schools he did. Next, we are going to have Margaret. Sorry. Okay, you can come, Dr. Ndekwa, representing the Council of Governors, to also share, just have some welcome remarks. Welcome.
Thank you. Let me thank you for coming for this meeting. Council of Governors bring together the 47 devolved governments. So it's the coordinating body, and it is at the counties that action happens. So we do resource allocation, we do service delivery, and policy implementation. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. A clap for Dr. Ndekwa representing the Council of Governors. Finally, just again on behalf of the government team, I'll invite Margaret Mwaila, who is the Assistant Director for the National Council for Population and Development. This is a government agency that has been involved in population matters and also doing family planning advocacy in this country. And I think if you look at your briefers, you will see some of the work that they do. So welcome, Margaret, for your remarks.
Yes, good morning, everyone in the room, all protocols observed. I am going to read opening remarks from Dr. Mohammed Abdikadir Sheikh, who is the Director General of the National Council for Population and Development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a pause because here in Kenya, every day, about 8 women lose their life in an attempt to give life. We are talking about preventable maternal deaths. These are needless deaths. While under 5 mortality has reduced, we are still losing these young people, new lives, and the rate, like for neonate mortality, has stagnated in Kenya over decades. This is a national emergency that calls for urgent attention. Kenya has made remarkable strides in advocating for family planning through the coordinated advocacy leadership of the National Council for Population and Development. Committed local stakeholders and development partners. Attempts to strengthen family planning commodity security are ongoing, and bold commitments have been made under ICPD 25 and FP 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, innovations are already at work, from domestic resource mobilization, digital technologies that track stockouts, to community awareness campaigns around family planning. We have much to be proud of, or don't we? However, all has not been glossy and smooth sailing, given that funding gaps still exist, and women and children are still dying from preventable causes. How is it that in the 21st century, maternal deaths still exceed 3,000 annually? Why do some counties report high unmet need, while others boast higher contraceptive uptake? How can we possibly explain the insistent neonate deaths, malnutrition, birth complications, and other intrigues? These are challenges begging for urgent action, and we can start by stepping up high-level advocacy to revamp political goodwill for the Safe Motherhood Program. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, we must adopt new strategies, bold thinking, and inclusive actions. New scripts are emerging, innovations that leverage on digital technologies and continuously onboarding of young people remain critical first steps, and our hope for new futures. Let's consider what is working and what needs scaling up. Piloting of off-site self-administered injectable contraceptives with support from community health promoters has yielded promising results. There is evidence on how mobile and AI-powered platforms are transforming access, offering private, youth-friendly, and culturally sensitive counseling and services. Geoinformatic tools are helping in mapping gaps, predicting stockouts, and guiding humanitarian outreach. These tools also aid in planning for resilience, especially in areas affected by conflict or climate shocks. Geoinformatic tools can facilitate building of population data sets to support client tracking, to improve ante- and postnatal care, immunization, child nutrition and family planning discontinuation while offering real-time solutions. Another innovation that is worth investing in and scaling up is the whole community approach to unbundle family planning as a women's issue, because it is not. What if men championed birth spacing? Not because they are fathers, but as partners in securing the health of the mother and the baby. A strategy for a healthy and thriving society. What if our religious leaders, council of governors, and community gatekeepers became frontline advocates for family well-being? This is the kind of shift we need, culturally rooted, community-owned, and inclusive of all voices. Young people are not just beneficiaries in this. They are change makers. Peer-led, youth-centered platforms offer unmatched trust and innovation hubs for learning, information, and services. Within their own circles and platforms, young people are likely to tone down gender. All these strategies require bold investments, smart coordination, and unwavering political will. And this is where the Sasa Alliance comes in. To be part of the Smart Advocacy for Strategic Action, that is Sasa, a name that is apt in my view, because Sasa means now in Kiswahili, and that is the agency we need to scale up heights, to scale and child health. Now is the time to invest. Now is the time to act. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to commit for the love of our mothers, our children, and the promise of a healthier, thriving Kenyan population. Let us be bold, be strategic, and be united. Let Sasa bet it. And for a Kenya where no woman dies while giving life, and every child is given the best chance to thrive. Viva Sasa. Shukran za dhati.
Thank you. Please, let's clap like advocates. One more round. Thank you, Mwaila. I think we do also have representatives from the Ministry of Health from the other countries, and I think it would be very selfish of us here in Kenya to not allow them just 30 seconds or so to just also say hi to us. So I'll invite the representative from Ivory Coast. It's a very difficult name. I hope I pronounce it rightly, but I don't know that it's in French, but Dr. Kachu Akoman is he around? Welcome. Please, a round of applause as he comes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. But I will ask you that my English is not very strong, so I will ask you to take translation, because I'm speaking French. I let you 5 minutes. OK. Chers participants, chers directeurs de nos différents partenaires, je cite Jipaigo, Pathfinder et les autres, et surtout merci aux représentants du ministère de la Santé du Kenya, qui est parmi nous. Et je voudrais bien vous dire que je suis très content de participer à ce lancement de cette initiative, simplement parce qu'en Côte d'Ivoire, nous avons beaucoup de gaps à combler, avec la diminution des différents fonds qui soutiennent la santé de la reproduction et la planification familiale. Et cette initiative, vraiment de renforcement de la stratégie de plaidoyer pour des actions très stratégiques en matière de planification familiale et de santé de la reproduction, est pour nous une opportunité. Une opportunité qui va nous permettre de combler les différents gaps que nous avons depuis un certain nombre d'années avec la diminution des fonds. En tant que parti national, avec nos partenaires, nous devons d'abord retrouver des fonds au niveau domestique, c'est-à-dire au niveau national, mais aussi faire en sorte que dans la coopération sud-sud, nous puissions avoir les fonds pour pouvoir continuer à maintenir le cap. Le cap dans l'accroissement de nos indicateurs pour pouvoir...
With those various indicators to have more satisfactory results with maternal health. And to finish, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for allowing us to participate to this initiative, especially on which we count on advocacy in order to have a success on all that is activity for mother and family planning. And to finish once more, as he said, my name is Raul Kakuakomaki from Cote d'Ivoire. I am working on family planning and maternal health. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. That's the only French word I know. Thank you very much. We also have a representative from Ethiopia, from the government of Ethiopia. Is he here? Not. Oh yeah, there's somebody, please. A clap as he comes, please. You'll also introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Mina Fakadu from the Consortium of Reproductive Health Association. Our consortium is a membership organization of 88 local and international civil societies working on family planning and reproductive health in Ethiopia. We are most of the time working on advocacy issues, knowledge management, and advocacy issue is our main focus. And I'm happy to be here with you all today. And I think later on we'll have also a panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much from Ethiopia. Yes, so I believe is there any other, the Senegalese team, Nigeria? Oh yes, from the Federal Republic of Nigeria, please. Introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Coordinating Minister of Health, the Permanent Secretary, we want to thank everyone for putting this together. Especially, I want to appreciate Pathfinder, Japaigo, and other partners in Nigeria for everything they have done through advocacy to reduce maternal, newborn, and child deaths. We all know the denominator in Nigeria, the population, and everybody is putting their efforts together. So we really appreciate. The Constitution gives room for advocacy because the Constitution for health, we call it a residual list, where health has leveraged on advocacy for interventions, implementation at the subnational level. So we are ready to take what we need to take home from this, launching it, and increasing our effort in advocacy in the country. Advocacy for us to succeed is very important because of the constitutional role of health. So we are ready to take it and we are ready to implement and scale up our implementation. So thank you for bringing us. It's going to help us, especially to reduce our maternal, newborn, and child death in the country. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause. Thank you. If we had the whole day, we would give a lot more opportunities. Just a minute. Okay, I'm told there's somebody from Senegal, a representative from the government who is online. So maybe let's give him 30 seconds or a minute just to give a remarks. Rabbi Seydou, are you on?
Oui, bonjour.
Yeah, good morning, good morning.
Okay, welcome.
And I'm It's for civil society organization named organization involved in advocacy for maternal and newborn and also governance health and young.
Yeah, I'll start by saying all protocols observed. It's very important that we observe protocols. And I feel like I'm in a very international meeting. And that local feel and the internet, a blend of both. And it's great to see representatives from governments across board, which really shows the partnership that is needed to advance this. Because at the end of the day, it is the governments that drive this work. And therefore, working together with governments in partnership at various levels to advance the great cause that has been mentioned here is so critical. And I'm really happy to see familiar faces across the countries, those that have really soldiered in this cause, some for very many years, and they have not let it go, they have not given up. And it is also great to see those that are coming in this journey. So, starting from the land of Oga, I could even see some with red caps to show they are really Oga. Eh? Yes, the GK and others really been on this move, you know? And our government representative from Nigeria, it just shows that this is something that we all want to happen. We've heard from Côte d'Ivoire. It was just last year that Côte d'Ivoire brought together a community of family planning advocates through the Ouagadougou Partnership. And we had high leadership of government right there. We are talking about Senegal, again represented here with very progressive approaches in this area. Has been quite a lot of learning from those countries, including the work of faith leaders in those countries, partnering up with governments. We come in our region, here in East Africa. We have the hosts here represented by our government officials, again synergizing that partnership. And just looking at this representation, and we could speak about our colleagues that Patrick mentioned, they did the dirty work, but I think it was very clean work from Uganda, working to make this happen. Our friends from Tanzania who are here. So you can actually see great champions. The foundation basically sees itself as a partner, working with governments across Africa, working with civil society, working with all the relevant stakeholders that are so critical in making sure that preventable deaths for mothers, for babies, do not happen. And I just want to refer to something that Bill Gates mentioned recently when he was at the African Union. and utilizing that platform to talk to Africa, I'll just quote 2 paragraphs in his speech. He said, "It was during the 1990s that I was already thinking about what I will do giving back the wealth created by the success of Microsoft to society. And my mom often quoted the biblical statement, 'To whom much has been given, much is expected.' My parents, my dad and mom, shaped my values. They set a great example. They were incredible volunteers, always believed in giving, and they really taught me the belief that all lives have equal value." So today, when we see Bill giving, we can see the beginnings, shaped by the values that the parents inculcated in him. And when he was in Addis, as many of you know, he reiterated an important announcement of him giving his wealth, all his wealth, to development. And he's committed in the next 20 years to give 200 of his wealth. So when you just look at that, I just want us to reflect about ourselves. So imagine about your wealth. Whatever you own, if somebody has to ask you, what is your net worth? And then imagine you saying, all that wealth you'll give out to development. Try to imagine that, the reality of you making that decision. And then you say in 20 years, all that is done. And he has even a beautiful graph of his wealth and how it goes up to end. So this announcement had also a very important aspect to it. He did say that the greater part of that will go towards Africa. Will go towards the nations represented in Africa. So try to imagine yourself, if you are a Kenyan, a Nigerian, a Tanzanian, a Senegalese, Cote d'Ivoire, and then you have wealth, and then you're coming from these countries in Africa, and you say, most part of your wealth will go towards Asia. Not even where you are. What's the chance? What is the chance? So here is an American citizen saying much of his wealth will go towards this continent. And therefore, these are the things to really think about. And when he was asked, what do you want to be remembered about? He says, he basically doesn't want to be remembered about all that money. That's not what he wants to be associated with. As part of his legacy, he said, I want a situation where, for example, somebody can talk about malaria, and the person listening can say, what is that? Because it's like something that was forgotten, something that was eliminated a long time ago that even people forget there was malaria. Do you know of a disease that was eliminated a long time ago that when you mention, people can say, what is that? And that's what he wants to be remembered about. That things that are impacting humanity right now, somebody will raise them out and people will wonder what that was. And that's the legacy he would like to be remembered, and not the dollar. And a critical thing that he mentioned as a major priority that is critical and an important aspect that this initiative will do he wants a situation where we do not have mothers and babies dying from preventable deaths. That mothers survive delivery. Babies grow up and become like those in this room. When the gentleman who was telling you, be aware a lion might come about, he was once a baby. Once a time. But now he's grown. He's this way, he can give us switch. So basically, all of us survived. You want babies to survive, mothers to survive. Another critical thing or focus has also to do with infectious diseases that are wiping a lot of our people. And the third aspect is to basically have people prosper. And that's why we have programs around economic opportunity that increase the prosperity of the people. All these things are tied together, whether it's health, whether it's economic opportunity. So I'm basically echoing what was shared, and it remains a commitment of the Gates Foundation, working with all partners, all the countries represented here, to reduce maternal mortality, to reduce mortality among our babies, our newborns, our infants, our children, and even to take it to zero. I know we've made commitments of the SDGs. Many countries represented here have a target of 70. But someone says the end game is zero. And therefore, we want to partner in that effort and recognize that the heavy lift will be by the leadership from these countries and the communities in these countries. We can only do a small bit to support those efforts. So thank you, and wishing all the advocates in the room success towards the impacts that we all want to see on the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. And thank you for that opportunity to really advance the space of advocacy in this country and in the invite our chief guest. We've had a bit of change of the project, of the program, but we thought the chief guest is here and has other commitments. But more importantly, we felt it would be good to launch and then to come and share his reflections. So welcome, Dr.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning, everybody. I'll shorten it and say all protocols observed. I want to welcome our guests from other countries, Uganda, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Senegal, and Ivory Coast, if I get it right. Welcome and feel at home. Our partners and colleagues from within Kenya. I'm very elated to participate in this meeting today and to oversee the launch of this Sasa agenda. As it is, the maternal and newborn health advocacy has been on the table for a while. The efforts given in has not given commensurate results. We shouldn't have been talking about maternal deaths today and this era. The strategies, the impactful interventions are well known, but for one reason or another, we are unable to change the statistics. I'm not sure if we are actually backtracking. There could have been some progress. I've been in this space for the last 25 years, I would say. And there are times we were very hopeful that the statistics will change, especially for this country. I know our neighbors, Tanzania and Uganda, may have proven evidence that there is some progress, but even still, not acceptable in this time and era. So it is critical and timely that we reinvigorate the energy and bring back the agenda on the table. We have enough evidence and enough lessons learned from our agenda on HIV/AIDS, where if you put the right effort and the right resources, you can achieve results. HIV/AIDS is much more complex than maternal health, but we are unable to move this. Family planning is a vaccine to maternal mortality, as I believe. And this has gotten a very bad hit globally and also locally. It's not an agenda that can easily be sold to non-convertees, people who are not converted into the advocacy. Years ago, we were doing very well as a country. But today, I know the implementing partners and ourselves know that on Thursday we had a budget. That budget that depicts where we are in our advocacy. There's a time domestic funding was giving 60 to 70% of our commodity security. Today, we've slipped back to, is it 10% or 15%? And it is a shame, but it just shows that the agenda, the Sasa agenda, is timely because of what is happening. Yes, but this should be one of the priorities if you want to reduce your cost on taking care, giving medical service or health services to unplanned pregnancy, and then taking up that role from a child who was not planned for the nation to take over that child to adulthood. If it gets worse, if that child contracts HIV/AIDS and you have to pay for by failing to give a family planning commodity that's far much cheaper and far much impactful. So the issue of advocacy is very critical. We need to have a transition period where we don't lose the gains that we've done. So this project, as it is critical, and we wanted to start with the advocacy piece itself. We are leaving it to the government or maybe to ourselves. When I go to talk to the PS National Treasury, he just looks at me as I'm from another space. What? Family planning? We need to talk their language. And we also sometimes need to light the witness that we were about to miss our commitments for co-financing. So between family planning and vaccine, when you put the pressure, they'll pick vaccines. Family planning is lacking that pressure. And this project should be the one to spearhead and pick up the piece and make it equally critical. Make it equally critical. Critical. Tech charge, tech. I better speak without the mic then. So as a ministry, we are trying all that is within our reach. The CS has taken up the strategic commodities, the strategic programs, which is HIV, AIDS, TB, malaria, family planning, nutrition, and vaccines. And we've written to the CS for National Treasury to ring fence and to cushion these budgets, whatever is allocated, whether it is enough or not, against downward revision of budgets, which is literally budget cuts. It will happen, but we want to ring fence it, and they have accepted it, and that's a progress. Let's see whether we are able to realize that commitment. But as far as vaccines is concerned, they have been very helpful, but with a lot of pressure, from up and down. So the advocates here's main role is to make sure that that pressure from below is actually effective. And as advocates at the ministry, our hands are tied. We can only put in some things, but you can't speak the way you can speak. And it's a right. It's not a favor for this nation and for anybody in this country. So coordination affairs is something that we want this project to bring people together, and so that we can speak in one voice and pick up those advocates who are not traditional advocates, so that we can be speaking the same language. And it's criminalized. And therefore, put it and protect it in your own, as we look for. Of course, no government is able to stand and feel need to go out of our comfort zone and look for the non-traditional funders. So without much ado, the call to action here is that we call upon policymakers, advocates, governments to honor the commitments and the continental protocols like the Maputo resource mobilization. Mind you, the debt burden for these African countries is not small in remitting the debts. The debts come first, because once you default, you don't want to go that route. You better have more pregnancies and more mouths to feed than those loans. Number two is we advocate for adoption of high-impact interventions, which are well known. Number three, the civil society, both governments and private sector, to ensure, to advance advocacy that is responsive to community needs and amplifies citizens' voices. Today, because of the social media, because of the technology advancement, everyone is connected and everybody can speak, and there are a lot of platforms that you can discuss these ideas without limited numbers. And therefore, we take advantage of technology to make the issue trend. I remember last year when we were about to miss the co-financing bit of vaccines, Hennet and other partners, it only took 2 days, or one day actually, on the media. It was trending, and the next day, National Treasury paid the money. So that's how powerful the advocacy and the agenda being on the social media is. And also development partners and donors to prioritize technical assistance and sustainable financing that strengthens local systems and accelerates to ensure continuity in advocacy momentum. Faith-based myths and misconceptions. Faith-based myths and misconceptions. Space at the decision-making table, drive change, space at the decision-making table, drive change, and be advocates for maternal health. The health workers and the advocates are not those who hold the purse. You need to speak the language of the one holding the purse for you to get it out. This is now this group's agenda. So, as Kenya and alongside our respective country representatives, we warmly welcome new opportunities for funding, partnerships, and collaboration. Your support helps us amplify citizen voices, center community needs, and drive policy change that is sustainable, community-informed, and impactful. So, without much ado, I think I'll wait for the next step from the moderator as I take permission to go to my next agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A loud applause for Dr. Bashir. Thank you so much. Irene will come and guide us on the next session.
Thank you very much. Wanahabari mpo. Jana, you hear that our role is very, very important. That if we do not talk about the issues, it does not get to decision makers. And we bring the voices of the local citizens to engage with decision makers. So you, as our journalists here, are very, very, very powerful. Use your power well. Thank you very much. Dr. Bashir, allow me to invite,
and I think this is the most exciting moment that we've all been waiting for, and we are really looking forward to the launch of this Sasa initiative, which is a smart advocacy for strategic action. And of course, today marks an exciting milestone. And of course, today marks an exciting milestone as we launch this. And of course, we know that as you witness this, you will walk this. And of course, we know that as you witness this, you will walk the journey with us as we implement the initiative. At this point in time, allow me to again invite Dr. Sheikh. You also heard that this initiative we have the partners that are part of the alliance, and I will invite Mr. Patrick Mujira, Mr. Paul Nyachai. I hope I pronounced the name so well. I come from Uganda. Dr. Paul is the country director at JPIGO. Allow me also to invite Dr. Amina Dorai, who is the country director at Pathfinder, Nigeria. So I request the team over there to usher in Dr. Bashir, and we will cut the ribbon, and once you cut the ribbon, can just clap our hands. Let's so in there. We have a Virgin Mary or some sort of, I don't know. So we'll see what is in there. So should I start counting? Oh, there we go.
Félicitations, merci beaucoup. Je suis très...
Congratulations, Sasa Alliance. Just to witness, we want to come back, 10 years down the road to see what exactly we signed up for. So we can put it up here. So it is just for us to, as a reference point, to see what we signed up for, maybe 10 years down the road. I will request again Dr. Bashir Isaac to come first. And we are The commitment form says, or the board committed to driving the advocacy agenda forward for family planning and maternal, newborn, and child health across sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you so much. Over. You just sign and...
I sign at my country.
Then just your signature. Oh yeah, you can look for the Kenya, where Kenya is. Kenya map. Thank you so much. And then after Dr. Bashir, I request Dr. Sam Mulyanga to also go ahead and sign as we clap hands. And then I'll also request Dr. Paul Nyachai to also sign. Dr. Amina, as you get ready. And then followed by Patrick Mujira. Feel free to look to identify or locate the map of the country where you come from. And then we'll have other dignitaries to also follow. I will not forget my friend, Dr. Serem, to also come forward from the Ministry of Health, please.
Other government officials.
We have other government officials from other Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, we also have Kenya, Dr. Albert Ndwinga. We also have partners in the house. We have Henet. Henet, that is the umbrella organization, Health Network. What is it? Health Network. Okay, Henet. Oh, Margaret is here. You're welcome. Thank you so much for representing. Samasha, all the way from Uganda. Samasha is our key partner under this alliance. We also have FP 2030. We have UNFPA. If UNFPA ICRHK, and alerting me that he has to leave. Thank you so very much for the opportunity. I'll hand over the microphone back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. People are making commitments, and our role as journalists is to May I request silence because we are recording? Thank you very much. It would be nice if we had the conversation outside. We are recording, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Sasa, Director of Family Health at the State Department of Medical Services. We are here today to launch a project on advocacy for maternal, newborn, and family planning. As a nation, we are not at a very good place in terms of the number of maternal mortalities that we have. Our maternal mortality ratio now is 355 as per our census of 2019. That is not an acceptable rate for this country, bearing in mind the progress we've done and the economic growth that we have achieved and the stability of the nation. And therefore, we find it prudent to really reinvigorate and revitalize the agenda of advocacy for maternal and newborn health. Family planning is a vaccine for reduction of maternal mortality. Why? Because majority of our pregnancies are unplanned, and they are unplanned because of lack of access to family planning commodities. As a nation, we have committed, and today's agenda of this project is really to bring up the idea of advocacy for bringing the discourse of maternal mortality on the table of the government and of our partners and of the community, so that everybody speaks the same language and we all invest our time, energy, technical expertise, technology and resources to ensure that no mother dies from a preventable maternal death. And most of them, 95% of our maternal mortality can be prevented. And therefore, our commitment to SDG of 70 maternal mortality ratio of 70 per 100,000 is very far. And we have only 5 years left to the SDG timeline. We are 355. This is not acceptable. We just have to do a different approach, innovative ways of ensuring that within these 5 years, we can hit our target. It was read a few days ago at a very low allocation of family planning to family planning commodities. We have our partners who have been supporting us, and we have commitments with them that come 2027-28, the government will allocate so that we can achieve the agenda of domestic funding for these strategic programs. As we allow the SHA, which is our best fit for HIS is a nationally owned platform. The data is ours, the control is ours. The issue that happened was a delay in paying for the license. So KHIS is up and it is reliable, but we don't use one source of data. We triangulate all sources of data. We do our surveys, we do our census, we look at our Kenya demographic health surveys, and there are many sources. We look at our UN modeling, and therefore the statistics that we have is not from one source. As far as family planning allocation is concerned, it is in our budget. At least we have a budget line, and we are in discussion with our national treasury to ensure that this is protected.
Kwa hivyo kuna pesa zimetengewa za kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba akina mama wanalindwa na watoto.
Siwezi kusema hivyo vile nimesema kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Zile pesa tunahitaji kununua family planning commodities, na ile iko kwa budget sahihi hayambatani, lakini tunashauriana na National Treasury wawekaji wa pesa, na tunajua kwa nchi kuna shida ya ukosefu ya pesa in terms of programs ni mingi, mahitaji ni mingi. Kwa hivyo lazima iangaliwe na iwe balanced. National Treasury inadili na kila mtu, all ministries from security, education na kila mtu, lakini ni Ministry of Health inatakikana kama sisi tuwaambie where our priority is. Na family planning ni priority yetu, vaccines ni priority, dawa ya HIV ni priority, TB, malaria, nutrition ya watoto ni priority, top priority. Kwa hivyo tunashauriana, na hii si lazima sio final decision, lakini kile wameweka sasa, wameweka 500 million shillings, hiyo haitoshi, na tunaongea na tunatarajia wataongeza.
Daktari, ya mission, if now might be the government has not met that your budget, what's the threat in terms of the family planning? What's the threat? What percentage of the threat of this might be this population that you are targeting?
The threat is that we have a very youthful population, very high population of reproductive age. 75% of our population is less than 35 years, and they are all productive in terms of if they don't get access to these farm planning communities, the number of unplanned pregnancies will be high, and therefore this will increase our mortalities, besides the cost of taking care of these mothers delivering in the health facilities. Remember, we said maternal health is free. Maternity service is free for all Kenyans. Remember the Linda Mama? And now we hope and we pray that every mother will be registered, and it is part of the PHC care that you will walk in and walk out. Kenyans should not be worried about going to a health facility and to be chased away because of lack of finance for maternity services, and for all primary health services for that matter. So our new vehicle of PHC and social health insurance is a savior for us to ensure that we provide quality services and cover every Kenyan for all the services that we want. We have started right now, but it's progressive growth. As much as Kenyans register and pay their contributions in terms of their premiums, we will have more resources to take care of everyone. That's the whole agenda behind Sasa.
Okay. Do you have any donor from are you getting any donors from any support in that family planning?
It's the USG which has closed the issue of supporting family planning. That is very clear. But other donors are still there, and we are talking. But we don't want this agenda to be donor driven, neither donor dependent. Family planning commodity requires about 3 billion shillings a year. And every 6 months we do our forecasting and quantification. And some usually come from our donors, others is supposed to be from the national. What has come down is the National Treasury, and also the donor perspective has come down on the US government line.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, because we already said, let me call the project director, maybe I can call the donor, and then now we can have a conversation. Yeah. This is a multi-country thing. Do I call it Nigeria? So mimi niko na nyinyi. Huyu sasa ni Mkenya ndio, lakini now she's supporting or overseeing the project in all the countries. Okay.
countries. It is led by our partner in population and development, BPDRO, that is based in Uganda, and the technical teams that are leading the advocacy work sits in 2 countries, that is Nigeria and Kenya. For Kenya, it's led by Topigo, and then for Nigeria, it's led by our partner Pathfinder. And our implementation, particularly for this project, which is going to last for 3 years and began last year as we were beginning the process, sits in 5 countries. And the countries where we're doing the implementation is in Ethiopia, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, as well as Nigeria. With this implementation, our focus is on maternal health and newborn health. Across these countries, the intention is to realize what are the governments doing so that we could be able to push the agenda forward as a team. We are given a mandate to bring in all the advocates together to push the domestic resource financing within the conversations that the government are having. The second part of it is to ensure that the commitments that are done by countries and governments are really up to standard and meeting them. One of the commitments we see countries make, we have SDGs, which is coming to a close in the next 5 years, but we are not even there yet. So the intention of advocates is to ensure that we speak and push the agenda internally. The other part of our intention is to bring both locally led organizations as well as the international organizations to really push the agenda forward so that we don't have duplication of resources, as well as we reach to the areas that are having unmet need for services. When I say unmet need for services, we don't have equality distribution across countries. There are geographies within particular countries are having very low uptake, for example, contraceptive services, or high burden in terms of teenage pregnancy, child death, maternal death, which are the critical issues that we are really trying to make sure that this organization, or rather this project, is going to help us move forward. So why we are here and why it is important for us to have all the organizations represented here, including the government, is because we want to have one voice. If we speak about the numbers that are low, these numbers are supposed to be pushed by all of us, so that by the time we are completing the process of 3 years, we can come back and ask ourselves, what have we not done right and what have we done right? Why is Sasa so unique? Sasa is unique because it's an advocacy portfolio that is really just not an advocate, but is an advocate with evidence. We work with statistics to inform key actions that we are taking across country. So the intention is very clear. So if mothers and child are dying, what are the numbers? And are these numbers going down or they are going high?
Okay, in terms of implementation, what appeal are you making to the policymakers? Because some of these issues we cannot do without having infrastructure on policymakers. What are you telling policymakers?
Oh, exactly. So the key issues around advocacy sits in 2 key areas: the funding, and the second part is policy. So countries have policies, they have commitment, but you realize with the policy, sometimes the implementation is suboptimal. When I say suboptimal, a country could have committed to reach a certain goal that they have set. But because these goals are not having enough resources or given priorities depending on the country, and that is why you realize the policies are never being, we don't reach the optimum level in terms of implementation. And so that's why we are coming in as advocates to really make sure to untangle the battles or the bottlenecks that are not making us push the policies that are designed by the government. We also, on the line of policies, we also have commitments, like the new couple commitments that we're having, the SDGs as I mentioned. So all this is the reason as why advocates are in place.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. We have Uganda. So my name is Sally Njiri. I sit in Japaigo office. I'm the project director for Sasa, and will be supporting, overseeing the implementation across the 5 countries.
So thank you.
Let me just have a voice of Uganda.
Africa Regional Office, which is based in Kampala, Uganda, where I sit as the acting regional director. Partners for Population Development is an intergovernmental organization that was created during the ICPD conference in Cairo, 1994, basically to promote South-South cooperation in the areas of reproductive health, population and development in the context of implementing the ICPD agenda. Now, we are a regional organization, and our advocacy menu is informed by different commitments that countries have developed and adopted at different levels, whether it is at the Africa regional level, whether it is at the global level. We have had commitments and protocols like the Sustainable Development Goals. We have had the protocols around the universal health coverage. We have had commitments like the FP 2030 commitments. We have had the ICPD program of action. We have had declarations like the Africa Leadership Meeting declarations. And all of these are interested in making sure that we follow up with countries to see how they can be implemented and pick some innovations, some working practices that can potentially be replicated by other countries so they are able to improve on the health outcomes. Now, on this project, Sasa, our role is mainly because of the regional outfits that we hold. Our role will be coordination. Our role will be coordinating efforts towards implementing this project in different countries, the 5 focus countries that have already been informed about. We shall be taking interest in knowing how we can pick some practices that partners have seen working in different countries and put them together for purposes of having a compendium of innovations that can share across the board in terms of making sure that we improve on health outcomes in the region.
All right. So please tell them your name. So that please write it on your phones. So
my name is Patrick Mujigwa. Patrick Mujigwa.
Spell that the second one.
M-U-G-I-R-W-A. M-U-G-I-R-W-A.
Acting Regional Director.
At Partners in Population Development, Africa Regional Office. PPDR. But I'm also currently holding fort as the officer in charge of PPD headquarters, based in Dhaka, Bangladesh.
All right. PPD nitawapatia. Lakini umepata spelling ya jina? Yeah, tushapata.
With Halima Sharif. I am from Tanzania. Been working in the space of family planning, reproductive health, maternal, newborn, and child health. Not as a medical doctor, but as an advocate. I'm a journalist by profession for many years. but now reading my face, I'm no longer an active journalist. We are excited to have launched the Sasa initiative, and the commitments from the different countries, different participants, are actually giving us the oomph or the spirit or the motion to ensure that we implement this project successfully in partnership with local partners, and making sure that Africa looks from within to emerge, because we've never, as a race, been surmounted by problems. We are so resilient as Africans. We're going to have three sessions that will begin with the presentation from our project director, Ms. Sally Njiri from Japaigo, Kenya. And that will be followed by a brief session, statements from our partners that we've worked with. We're holding their hands, they're holding ours, and we're moving together, complementing each other's efforts. And lastly, we're going to be having a panel discussion drawing representatives from the implementing countries across different partners in these countries, and that will be very close to our lunch time. So may I now appeal to you, it's 11:30 and our bellies are full. I think we have 2.5 hours to 3 hours to kind of tolerate the remaining session. We might be going for lunch a bit late, maybe 1:30, so please bear with us so that we conclude this very successful event in a very, how do I say, very happy kind of feeling and eager to continue working. So without further ado, Ms. Sally Njiri, Project Director, Sasa, please take the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. Happy Sasa Day. Yeah, I know we've already launched and moved forward, but I want to take us through what Sasa is, and okay, Mark, come and support me. So I'll take us through what Sasa is as an initiative, and then from Sasa as an initiative, I will give an overview of the 3-year project that we are going to implement that started late last year, and we are moving towards 2027 in terms of implementation, and just giving an overview what that looks like in terms of moving forward from here. So just taking us back again, for us to pick the word Sasa. I know because it's in Nairobi and it is in Kenya, we think it's a Swahili word. But again, when we were coming up with the name, basically we thought it's now and never any other time other than today. So Smart Advocacy for Strategic Action is an alliance that brings together key advocates, and the intention of this is to push a dynamic implementation across technical areas that are pushing the gaps, are trying to align issues on policies and funding, and just making sure that we bring all the partners together. So speaking to Advocacy and Sasa Alliance, this alliance was formed in 2022. That followed immediately after AFP closeout, and I think Patrick mentioned about where it originated from. So Sasa is led by 3 partners. Our prime partner is PPDRO, this admin mentioned, and the implementing technical team in the space of advocacy is Japaigo, Kenya, as well as Pathfinder, Nigeria. Our goal is to ensure an advanced citizen-driven advocacy to accelerate policy and funding. I think this is one of the gaps that we are really looking towards bridging across all the sub-Saharan countries. And our core values actually sit around making sure evidence is used. We come as a team. And today marks an important day where we're talking about collective effort and just making sure that we are locally putting the efforts together as countries. Sasa is intentional in its approach. One of the approaches that we are using is partner technical strength. So we can't move this agenda on our own. We are seated here with different partners, both implementing government as well as the implementing partners and locally driven advocacy champions to make sure that we are in that position of pushing the agenda forward. We are also very cognizant that advocacy without evidence can't push the agenda. And so we are using data to drive and also just make sure we are testing what has already proven to work, which is smart advocacy approach that was actually used for 13 years. We are building partnership, and we will mention what partnership means to us. We have partnership and collaboration in making sure that advocacy is moved. And that means that not only advocates are going to bring change, even the implementing in terms of making sure the services reach the last mile is critical. Do we have the commodities that we need? And who is that in this room that is supposed to take care of that? And so those are key areas that we really look forward as advocates to make a difference. So collaboratively, we hope to see an enhanced advocacy ecosystem across our implementation sites. We hope also to see that we continue to provide the needed technical assistance, both at the subnational and national region, including the regional efforts that are needed. Lastly, we will ensure that our stakeholders are also engaged promptly. I think we trust and know that silo engagement cannot work. We got to work collectively and move forward as a team. So diving to the 3-year project that we awarded, and thanks to Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for the award. So this is a 3-year project that began close of last year, 2024, and we are moving towards 2027. Our implementation is in 5 countries. That is Senegal, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Kenya. We anticipate to see a catalytic action which will make sure that we stimulate innovations, leveraging additional investments across countries, strengthen systems in partnership, as well as accelerating policy and advocacy outcomes. So we are not starting afresh. We are actually building on what has already been started to push the agenda. So the focus is on maternal child health and family planning. As I highlighted in that, some efforts are going to be more focused within the country depending on the weight and the gaps that we see in those countries. So why was this investment critical? First, we appreciate that we are in the space that is tight physical space around MNHFP. I think we can't overemphasize this. It's already known. We also see that there's more or less modest progress towards SGD. This is a question that we're asking ourselves, where are we as countries? Are we moving there? Do we need some efforts to push this forward? The global funding shifts, I think this was talked about even by our chief guest today, just mentioning how the prioritization, especially in the space of family planning. Then we also have suboptimal implementation of MNCH FP policy. Yes, we appreciate countries have moved forward, but if you look, the geographical distribution is not equal. There are counties or subnational regions that really needs a lot of effort for us to meet the requirements within the policy stipulated actions. Then we have competing country priorities. Again, the implementation of MNHFP across countries is a priority, but not to say that other implementing development priorities are not priorities where they are.
So how well can we as advocates speak and make sure the MNH gaps that we are seeing, the family planning gaps that we are seeing, can be prioritized among other issues that are prioritized by our countries? And then we have suboptimal uptake of MNCH. I think we can appreciate with the statistics, this really is an issue. Then the slow adaptation of the best practices and best buys that we've already identified. There are those things that if we do, we are actually working magic, but their implementation is actually very slow in our countries. We've talked about the gaps. In terms of numbers, again, as advocates, we can't miss to say that. If you look at the statistics, for example, even the teen pregnancy in our countries, it's still alarming. And the consequences of teen pregnancy, we all know as advocates in this room. We are talking about the unmet need for family planning, walking into our clinics and we are not able to get the commodities that we require. Is it because the commodity is not there or the technical support that we need as providers to get the services done? We are also looking at the unmet need, which is also critical. The maternal death. I think we all believe, and it is true, that a mother shouldn't die because he's giving life. And the statistics that we are having is an alarming thing. Even despite the targets that we have stipulated, we are still very far away from reaching the targets that we are expected. So with all these numbers, we are called as advocates. And JAPIGO, Pathfinder, PPDRO, and along with the implementing countries and partners, we are looking towards enhancing the advocacy ecosystem that will ensure a scaled advocacy efforts, strengthened media advocacy, and we all know the benefit of having media advocates in the room. We have strengthened policy environment. How do our policies speak to the implementation? We have an advanced evidence-based policy decision making, so that it is the number that is telling us that we need to take action. Then lastly, we look to scale up high impact practices, so that by the time you're done with the implementation, you can count on the results. What tactics are we coming to use as advocates within Sasa? Our intention is to bring a stronger, more diversified advocacy network to drive a sustainable impact. That means establishing a South-based advocacy mechanism. We are seated in this room today, I think 7 or 6 countries. That means it's not a country-specific issue, it's a cross-country, cross-Sub-Saharan issue. Strengthening locally advocacy capacity. Yes, in this room today, we have more than 6 locally led organizations representing the rest that are not here today. That means they know their issues right from the grassroots, and they bring it forth for us to push the agenda forward. Then we are looking at strategic communication and media advocacy. The guest speaker said, Sasa, we are giving you the mandate to bring people together and collaborate to make sure we speak on one voice. Direct engagement with decision maker. It is this time that we are able to speak for our issues and tell them these are the gaps that we are having, and we need to move this in the next level. Given the effort and the 3 years of implementation, our intention and the vision for this particular project is striving advocacy ecosystem for sustainable impact. What does this mean? As stronger advocates and champions across our geographies. Enhanced policy environment that speak to the gaps that we've identified. Scaled up implementation of both IPS and best buys. And then we have improved financing mechanism. And when we talk about financing mechanism, what are our countries putting when it comes to domestic resource financing? What our implementing partners and donors are bringing on board? And what is this that is bringing a change that we require? And implementation would also look at increased investment as well as South-to-South learning. We can't stop to say that we know it all, but we keep learning from each other, and we take that opportunity to really use such a forum to make sure we have a connection that is going to bring a difference, not only today, but also tomorrow, so that that mother doesn't have to die because we did not put an effort together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally Njiri. Another round of applause to Sally. So in a nutshell, Sasa is about Africans. It's about the capacity, the energy, the determination, the commitment to push the agendas that impact our communities, women and girls and men, to a level where all of us will be in a position to celebrate. So if it is about you, I'm sure you'll make it work. And as Sally said, it is catalytic. It's really tapping on and harnessing the technical capacity that already exists in our countries and see how best we could sharpen that, we could draw the South-South learning and advance the work we're already doing to make sure our governments honor their commitments in family planning and MNCH and in other health and development agenda. So thank you very much, Sally, for uniting. Sasa is like a uniting force, an acknowledgement of us as Africans that we can do it. And come 3 years from now, I bet we will have successful stories to tell. Are we together? Yes. Do you feel the same? Yes. Thank you very much. It's now time for Africa to do their thing. So now, may I take this opportunity to invite a colleague, a friend that I also called daughter, because a lot of the Sasa team, if you look around, I'm their mother. They call me Mama Halima, and I'm not even ready to give up at this moment. I'm still with them. When I start walking using a stick, then they will tell me, Mama, just stay in Dar es Salaam and enjoy life. So may I invite Dr. Sakina Bello for the next session. Sakina.
Thank you so much, Mama Halima. My name is Dr. Sakina Amin Bello, and I work with Pathfinder in Nigeria as the technical director. But I'm also the Sasa lead for the West African countries, so Nigeria, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire. And this session really is just perfect, following what Sally just presented, because it's really about partnership and coordination. We know that the problems are many, and no single partner can do it alone. So we need to come together, because at the end of the day, we are all trying to achieve the same goal. So this session is around just to spotlight some of the key partners that are going to be key to Sasa delivering on its mandate. I'm going to introduce them one by one, just to come out and give us a few remarks in just 3 minutes because of time. The session is titled Leveraging Synergies for Advancing Shared Advocacy Goals. The first partner, UNFPA, is a global leader in promoting universal access to reproductive health and rights. And we know that UNFPA is anything to do with commodity security. They are the first point of call in most of our countries. They are committed to data-driven programming, government partnerships, and system strengthening. It aligns powerfully with SASA's aim to use evidence and storytelling for advocacy impact. I would like to welcome Charity Korongo, who is the FPRH Commodity Security Specialist at UNFPA, to share a few comments. Please, let's give her a round of applause as she comes up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister, for baptizing me. The second name is Koronya, but it's understood. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning. Saseni. Saseni. Sasa. Sasa. Dr. Ndwega told us when we say Sasa, tunasema fit. Okay, colleagues, first I want to sincerely, on behalf of UNFPA representative and the country office management, thank Japaigo for bringing us together for this important session. This session, I think it's long overdue, Nyachai, because we have been struggling with the advocacy for commodity security, for family planning commodities. And we are very happy that we have had Japaigo, specifically Shali, who has held hands in training us in smart advocacy. Having said that, I sincerely want also to acknowledge NCPD, who are in the house, especially Beatrice and Margaret Mwaila, who have also been very instrumental in terms of advocacy for commodity security, and other teams. Of course, ICRH, I cannot forget ICRH because they have been really leading us in terms of commodity security and advocacy and providing evidence why we need to advocate for commodity security. Having said that, I just want to acknowledge that without synergies, there is little much we can do because we need everybody to be able to make impact. And I just listened to when Dr. Bashir was talking, and I asked myself, Beatrice and the team, where have we been leaving Enet? I think if we had Enet with us, and they have been able to mobilize women to cry that they are getting pregnant, I think our agenda would have been listened to at the highest level. And that's why we require people at the lowest level. We require people who can mobilize the users, the beneficiaries of the family planning services. We require the middle level manager at the clinic who can say the challenges she's facing because there are no commodities. We require the policy maker to know the implications, and we require the technocrats in this house to be able to work together to bring the synergies to make a change. We can't forget the media. The media is very critical, like you heard from Dr. Bashir. I believe the media, and I'm sorry, they only have reported about family planning when commodities have a challenge. I haven't seen them bringing women who have become pregnant because there are no commodities. So I'm challenging the media. Is it that we don't give you evidence? Is it that we don't work together? We haven't seen a story on the commodity stock out in this country for so long. It's not that we are stocked, we are properly stocked. So synergy is really requires working with all stakeholders, from the symbios to managers, to policy makers, to the media, and even the faith-based organizations. They are very strong faith-based organizations who also support family planning. I believe together we can make a lot of change, and smart advocacy is very key because we are able to synchronize the little resources we have and make sure that we make the resources, we use the resources effectively. As I'm saying this, I remember last year when we are starting the smart advocacy training in Kenya, Beatrice and I had to take a lot of time to know who are going to be our facilitators. Least did we know that Japaigo Sally was one of the key trainers, regional trainers in smart advocacy. So you can see, please clap for her. And out of that, we have made a lot of progress from what we did smart advocacy implementation plan last year with support from Japaigo, NCPD, the Minister of Health, CHAI, ICRH, the few I can remember who are here. We have made a lot of progress. So I believe now what is required with the launch of this regional advocacy strategic plan, it is now to increase our synergies more and make the difference. And we hope that one of the outcomes is to have family planning classified as a strategic program so that we don't have to struggle every year for advocating for money, so that we have the money ring-fenced. So once more, thank you very much, Japaigo, and we look forward to working together as a team. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So ring-fencing domestic resources for family planning, commodity security, synergy, partnership. This is what we've been hearing all morning. Our next strategic partner is FP 2030. So similarly, we've also provided TA on smart advocacy across the FP 2030 countries, supporting both the NWC and the East Africa and Southern Africa Regional Hub. So I would like to call on two representatives, one representing NWC and the other representing the East Africa Hub. So I'll start with the East Africa Hub. Yeah, Dr. Margaret, and then Dr. Ejike Oji will come and give us a few remarks as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Twambi Mwaungulu. I'm from FP 2030. I am the Regional Advocacy, Accountability and Partnership Manager for East and Southern Africa. That's my local language. I'm from Malawi. Yeah, but based here. I had when we received the invitations, I had different thoughts like, what are we going to say about Sasa, smart advocates? But when the guest of honor was speaking, Dr. Bashir, he talked about something that really made me have a different thought of what to say and how that fuses into the context of smart advocacy. He said, every time he goes to the PS to negotiate about family planning, they don't understand him. And the debate between family planning and life-saving commodities like HIV and AIDS drugs, vaccines, shuts down family planning. So all of us here now understand that we have got the biggest problem to communicate to politicians, to decision makers. Therefore, smart advocacy becomes paramount. We need to get facts, we need to get evidence, and we need to package our story differently. Sasa, they have said they are bringing in evidence-based intervention, bringing in communities to the forefront. That's what we need. A politician does not understand a lot of figures. Tell him how many women will die if we're not going to procure commodities. Then he will understand you. If we're going to invest 1 billion in family planning, how many women are we going to save from abortions? That's our language. We need to package smartly. And where do we get that information from? Smart advocacy, the community interventions. I've been part of the process of this Sasa, and one of the times I was involved in their smart advocacy training. They had brought regional youths. And there were community-led organizations and youth-led organizations. They brought in stories that impact, stories that change humanities. So this initiative is bringing in evidence to our face and challenging us to say, how do we communicate? How do we show the realities? How do we show the interventions or the challenges that are happening at a health facility? Because people don't understand advocacy. As an advocate, every time people ask me, what do you do? You as FP 2030, what do you do? You're just securing commitments. We went to Niepaco. We went to AHAIC, African Health Conference. We went to World Health Assembly. More commitments are made, and today we have also made commitments. How do we change those commitments into actions? How do we bring the owners of the interventions into actions? That's the question for each of us. So smart advocacy is one of the ways in terms of how we can achieve those, because we are time-bound, we are smart, we are realistic, and we are bringing in actions that can change lives. With these few remarks, I challenge each one of us to go back home differently, move from securing commitments and putting those commitments into interventions. I thank you all.
Dr. Margaret.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Dr. Margaret Jenga, CEO of Population Services Kenya, and while here, honored to speak after FP 2030 representative. FP 2030 does not work alone. It works with partners. As the representative mentioned, FP 2030 makes commitments, and there are partners who coordinate and work very closely with the government across all these countries to enable those commitments to come to fruition. So today I stand here representing other civil society organizations, and I'd want to ask them to please stand. CSOs, PS Kenya is the CSO focal organization, but there are so many other CSOs. Some in this room, the ones in this room, please stand so that you may be acknowledged. Please stand. CSOs, CSOs, CSOs. Thank you. Thank you very much. A big hand to you all. And Hennet being a very strategic partner also as the civil society organization representing many others. So mine is to, first of all, say my excitement about Sasa. It has come at the right time, especially for Kenya. Kenya, we've had a long journey in FP, ups and downs, ups and downs. About a month ago, we got very depressed when we realized that our budget for FP is only 500 million, which is very low against the target of 3 billion Kenya shillings that we were looking towards. And considering especially when development partners have taken most of their resources of FP. The thing with Kenya is that we don't have money. We have the money. The money is there. It's just prioritization. And that's where, even as partners, we come in to support and see how can we coordinate ourselves better. Coordination is a key thing amongst partners. Each of us has resources somewhere in different pockets, and we carry out many activities. So coordination is a key thing that we are working towards strengthening. We have made milestones. There's been a lot of progress, but there's so much that we can do. So Sally and the team, this project has come at a timely moment, especially also looking at the objectives of Sasa, which one of them is really to support coordination, evidence-based advocacy, increased domestic resource mobilization. So those are key things that we as partners, we will collaborate with you very closely. So please call on us. We know that this mantle is quite heavy. JPIGO in Kenya cannot carry it alone. Pathfinder as well in Nigeria, PPDRO. It's such a pleasure to connect with you. And a big thanks to the Gates Foundation for really enabling this conversation to happen. So thank you very much, and we look forward to working very closely with you. I also want to acknowledge the importance of the private sector. The private sector in Kenya, 50% of Kenyans access healthcare services from the private sector. Therefore, as we are talking about sustainability, we cannot ignore this particular force of the private sector. Last week, the Ministry of Health and a number of partners launched DMPA subcutaneous in Kenya. It is now available in the market, in pharmacies, and that's a big milestone towards ensuring that those who are willing and able to pay can access these resources, and the rest is left to those who are the most vulnerable who cannot access it. So I'm very grateful even for this opportunity, and I'm also excited because I've met other FP 2030 counterparts. Dr. Oji Ejike from West Africa. We'll be learning a lot. I'm particularly interested in Nigeria, a population that is 5 times the size of Kenya. I think you're about 250 million. I don't know how you guys will hack it, but we'll learn from you and pick some of those lessons for us in Kenya. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Ejike Oji, by the way, today is his birthday, but he still honored us. He left his celebration in Nigeria and honored us to be here today. Happy birthday, dear Oji. Happy birthday to you. 70, by the way. He's 70 years old today.
Thank you very much, Sekina. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Let me first of all thank Kenya for making it possible for me to enjoy being here. It's been so nice and peaceful. So I'm celebrating my birthday with you guys. And then also Pathfinder and JPIGO that made it possible for me to come. When I was planning this trip, my wife looked at me and said, "Where the hell are you going to? On your birthday, the 7th floor of life?" I said, "What I'm going for, you know, is that's what I believe in." So she gave me the permission. Let's give her a good round of applause. Smart advocacy. I'm delighted to say that Pathfinder led that initiative in Nigeria. And as a civil society focal point for FP 2030, which underlines mutual accountability. It's not just blaming government. You need to ask the donors, what are you still doing too? You need to ask the civil society organizations, what are you doing? And then what this means, both of us, or all of us sat on a table and decided the way forward. And then the first thing that happened was about 2 or 3 years ago, there was a training on smart advocacy for everyone that is in the forefront of advocating for improved maternal and child health services in the country. For us as the AFP, which is an umbrella organization of all organizations working in the family planning space, about 50 international and local entities, we maintain that our work is just advocacy. We don't compete in terms of service delivery or any of that. So how do we make sure that things go for the better part of our country? I think my immediate past speaker did mention we're 250 and counting. We don't even know, it's still an estimate. So, and then we have a youthful bulge where 75% of our population is under the age of 34. So imagine that, what that means. So we're in a demographic crisis. So if there's any time that we need to work hard, the time is now. So we've done a lot of work, and one of the key things when you look at advocacy, yes, we have to be smart, but most importantly, we do proper target-oriented advocacy. There's no need preaching to the preacher and using economics, especially if he's an Islamic cleric. What he's interested is the health outcomes. If it is the politician, I think you did say you use numbers. But for us, it's not just using numbers nowadays. It's also looking at the philosophical approach to leadership. How are you going to work with the members of your team to get the better outcomes that will make you look good as a politician? So for us in Nigeria, the important thing is focusing on using the data and using it appropriately and making sure the champions that we bring on board understand their own rules. But finally, inclusivity, collaboration. Without that, we won't go too far. I thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Dr. Oji. Our next partner, is Samasha Medical Foundation, based in Uganda. We know them for, their pioneer work in domestic resource mobilization, tracking of commitments using the motion tracker approach. I welcome Cornelia Asimwe, the Executive Director of Samasha, to give us her remarks.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I feel like I'm the baby in the room. Cordelia Simu is my name, working with Samasha, and we are delighted to be here. We have talked about advocacy, what needs to be done, and what is going wrong. But one of the things that we need to remember is that we are all responsible. And the onus is upon us to make sure that the change that we actually want to see gets to be done. Advocacy helps us highlight what the issues are, what do we need to focus on, how do we bring the attention. But it is also important for us to know how do we hold our duty bearers responsible for these actions. And that is why accountability is equally important. And it is something that we cannot forfeit or ignore. Sasa is a very great initiative that we're very excited to work with because they're helping us change the narrative. We have all echoed and reaffirmed that we need to change how we frame the languaging. When I was growing up, we had the investment cases for family planning that helped us highlight why it was important to spend the money. But those investment cases only looked at the economic benefit. And now it is important that we change that narrative and explain it in terms of what it means and how it speaks to our power holders. Accountability is about enforcing transparency. It is about us building that trust again and collaboration. And that is what we need to do. Sasa is here, and all of us can echo that we all have a shared dedication towards seeing that we have zero unmet need, we have zero teenage pregnancies. The zeros, we can keep counting and making them many. And it takes our commitment, it takes us working together. But what does that take? It is important that we hold our duty bearers responsible, starting with ourselves. What are we doing here and now? What are we doing in our small spaces, in our spheres of influence? Because we all have the power and we can equally make that change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cornelia. We recently had a mission in Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal jointly with Samasha, just to see what the landscape looks like. And I think that's a very good start. If we build on that partnership, we'll go a long way. So the next partner is Hennet, whose mandate is really to translate all those policies into impact. So I welcome Margaret Lubale, the Executive Director of Hennet.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's quite a job. I'm really glad to be here. I worked with Pathfinder for 7 years, so every time I hear Pathfinder, I have a warm feeling in my heart because we parted very well. And we've worked with PPDRO and Japaigo. Yeah, all I know is that you threw us out of Centro and won Centro at some point. So we had a love-hate relationship, but we are now friends. I want to commend PPDRO, Japaigo, and who else? And my former employer, PI Nigeria, for this great work. I think when we began to work in Hennet on what we felt were the priorities for the network, one of the things that was very clear was that we needed to sharpen our strategy around advocacy. We needed to figure out who to speak to and how to speak to them, and with what to speak, because parliamentarians, you give data, yeah, but the point is, so what? What are you saying? And so when we began to think about how to go about it, PPDRO, came along, and we forged an alliance, and we began to train through PPDRO, and we trained national level CSOs, about 30 of them, and then we trained grassroots CSOs, 24 of them. That was just the beginning. And one of the things that we realized is that the potential of smart advocacy is in its ability to shift, to enable you to influence a shift in policy, but also to unlock resources. And so the next thing we thought about was, now that we are laden with the tools for advocacy, what is it about? I don't know how many remember the movie Show Me the Money. And so we went for the money. How do we look for the money? How do we ask for the money? And so we forged a partnership with Budgety Hub for budget advocacy. So in Hennet, we don't just do the smart, but the smart advocacy is our foundation. It undergirds everything we do, and then we layer on it budget advocacy. What does that mean? We realize that very many CSOs know what is wrong and what is missing. They have an inkling, but they don't know where to look. You will be surprised at how many have never read the budget policy statement. You'd even be more surprised to find how many are in the county level and have never read the county fiscal paper. And so we began to say, if we are going to be effective, We give you the tools for advocacy, then we give you the wherewithal to understand when to engage and how to engage. And so for me, I'm very excited at this, the launch of Sasa, because I see us saturating the ecosystem, because we need more hands, we need more voices. And many times, implementing NGOs and CSOs are very concerned about their little space. You are very concerned about the micro environment, whatever it is. You are 10,000 people. You are 5,000 mothers. But you never see the ones that surround the 5,000 mothers. You never look up. Many NGOs don't look up. And one of the things I say today is an byproduct of what happened in the donor landscape, is that people have begun to rethink their program designs. And so smart advocacy becomes so critical, because you can do a lot with advocacy and push the little that we get to do more. It is more health for the money. And so we are especially excited to be in the space of FP 2030 with PSK and with Samasha, and pushing the motion tracker approach. And one of the things that we saw very clearly is that through the generous support of Gates Foundation, we began to do what we are calling a PHC coalition. And then as we delved deep into PHC, we realized the mother and the child are like the cornerstones of PHC. And then we looked at FP, and in January we were running for FP. We set a proposal and we were really sure we would get it. And then there was a stop work order and we didn't get it, but we thank God we still have FP 2030. So what am I saying? I'm saying that this is timely. The collaboration itself is critical, because CSOs need to collaborate more, collaborate smarter. And it is important that in this tight fiscal space, we are able to speak to each other. And that's why I also am very happy that Samasha is here and FP 2030 is here, and CSOs are now going to be able to build accountability, because now the MTA includes a wider stakeholder base. It allows us to showcase what we are doing. But it is not just showcasing, it's about building accountability. And so I would urge all of us here, as we go out, can we document what we are doing? If we don't have documentation, we cannot speak, we cannot advocate, because people say, show us. And so I urge all of us here, as we think about the family planning landscape, show what you're doing. Let us build common accountability to be able to be a force that can speak eloquently into the subject of financing. Otherwise, people will do their little things in their little spaces and will continue to say and decry the lack of money for family planning. And so I thank you, and once again, let me commend PPDRO, JPIGO, and Pathfinder for this beautiful initiative. And you can count on Hennet for sure. At least in Kenya, we are national. We can't come to Nigeria unless you invite us. We are willing to fly. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those very warm remarks. So from a Pathfinder family member to a JPIGO family member, we move to Dr. Susan Ontiri, who is the country director of ICRHK. They are well known for evidence, health policy analysis, and research. Welcome, Dr. Susan.
Thank you, Dr. Sakina. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm also delighted to be standing here today this afternoon. And I want to firstly begin by congratulating the implementing partners, JPIGO, Pathfinder, PPDRO, for the exemplary work they did under the Advanced Family Planning Project, which, by the way, was part of it when I was this other side. Because if it were not for that exemplary work, we wouldn't be standing here launching Sasa. So it was a testament of, the good effort, the fact that we were able to demonstrate that, we can actually have a project that is co-designed, co-implemented from the southern base. This is a project that is being implemented for us, by us, and we've basically demonstrated after implementing for 13 years that there is capacity within the continent. So kudos to the great work, and keep up. We believe we'll be able to achieve the results. Secondly, Gates Foundation. Gates Foundation is an incredible donor, and I'm not saying this because Sam is here. If you've been in the advocacy space for long, you'll realize not many donors actually fund advocacy as a standalone investment. It will be an advocacy under, maybe one of the objectives, one of the pillars. But Gates Foundation, they've consistently had standalone projects that are focused on advocacy for so many years. And it basically demonstrates also their commitment and their belief in the fact that we can only milestones or certain, results by targeting decision makers. So Sam, thank you very much. And we really, really are grateful for that. ICRH has been partnering with Japaigo and other local organizations, and not just local, also the international organizations here in Kenya. Our role in the past programs were basically to provide evidence when we were championing family planning agenda through the PMA platform, through the exemplars in family planning. And through that partnership, we were able to avail data and work alongside the other partners. We are really excited to be part of this initiative because one of the things that we'll be leveraging is also an initiative that Gates Foundation funded us last year in November called Okoa Mama na Mtoto Initiative. So as Sasa will be focusing on the regional platform, ICRH received an investment to target the county level, the subnational level, doing advocacy for MNCH. It's a 3-year grant. And also at ICRH, we decided to pay forward. And what do I mean? We basically picked our grassroots-led organizations, and I'd like them to stand here because they were led by the former First Ladies who were... These organizations, we have... Fountain of Hope by the former First Lady of Garissa County, Shina Foundation, Makueni County, now working in Kilifi, and also Fountain of Hope, Kakamega. The organization, Touch a Life, sorry, Touch a Life, yeah. The organizations that were under the AFP program. And when we got this grant, we were like, we can basically work forward because there's a lot of investment that has gone into building their capacity. And also, when you think about advocacy, advocacy is not just a one-end approach. You basically need multiple touch points. As people are advocating at globally, the way Dr. Bashir mentioned, others are playing regionally, we also need grassroots-led champions, and we are really, really excited to be working with them and also partnering with them under this broader initiative. So lastly, as we embark on this journey, we just want to reiterate our commitment that, we will basically implement together. We are available to put our heads together, not just the two of us, but all the CSOs, because as we were challenged, this is not something that only one organization can, lead. It's something that requires our collective effort if we are to amplify the results that we need to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Representative of Shina Foundation. Anyone?
Yes. Wow, okay. Thank you very much for this very rare occasion. As you have heard, we are just grassroots women. Grassroots because we believe whatever is passed there, whatever amount of money people look for, and whoever comes into this space, if it does not reach the grassroots, then we are failing. And that's why Shina Foundation, not only Shina Foundation, but the three of us you saw, and we are four, because there is Kwale Fanikisha. We started advocacy through Japaigo, and thank you very much, Sam. And we took Japaigo into our counties. First ladies can be very powerful sometimes. So we did that, and as a result, some of our counties got ring fencing of the family planning budget. And after we finished our work as First Ladies, we didn't know what to do, but some again saw us and saw the good work we had done and brought us to ICRH. And that's where we are now in OMI, Okoa Mama na Mtoto, Save Mom and Child. And we are in different counties. I relocated to my county of birth, which is Kilifi. And we are trying to be very innovative in disseminating the information. We are using local media. We are using songs. We are trying to be very innovative with even poems so that we can reach the common person, the community, the mother, the child, who otherwise would not have been reached. So that's where we are at. And we are very, very grateful. I didn't expect to talk, but once you have been a leader, I guess you should be ready anytime. So thank you very much, and we are with you. We are in this space. Ours is a spiral effect, starting from one dot, and you get that spiral effect to the grassroots, and that is where the work is. And we pledge to work very hard to make sure this information and everything else that needs to go to the grassroots has reached. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Shina Foundation. So to close our partner spotlight, I call on yet another family member, Irene Choge from Wanahabari, for her remarks. Irene.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Bon après-midi. Merci. Je m'appelle Irene Choge.
My name is Irene Choge.
My profession and a family member of Japaigo and ICRHK. We've all talked about the smart advocacy and how it birthed Sasa. When Japaigo was implementing the smart AFP, I was leading the media advocacy component. And when the project came to an end and we were working on Sasa, we came together as wanahabari wa Kongwe, journalists who have been there, practiced in the newsrooms, and told ourselves, what can we do to impact the society? I have my senior there, Sagala. Sagala, please stand. He's my senior in the newsroom, but I'm his senior in the organization. So we've come together, editors, journalists who are passionate about communication for development. And we formed this organization called Wanahabari. What we do is that we work with journalists and help them develop stories that are development oriented. So one of the focus areas we look at is solution journalism. Because every time we are told that we tell stories of problems, but we also try and find stories where things are working and use that story to tell the world to adopt the high impact practices that are working. But there's one thing I will tell you, those practices are with you here. So let's work together. Let us partner together. There's a new kid in the block. It's called Wanahabari, and we are passionate about communication for development. The other thing also that we are working with journalists that we worked with during the AFP work. And we had journalists from Kenya, we had journalists from Uganda, Nigeria. We have a pool of journalists also from Ethiopia. So we have a footprint in the region. Some of the journalists we worked with worked for regional and international organizations. So let's work together. Charity, when you say you're not hearing stories, talk to us, because at times it might be difficult to get to the newsroom directly. We've worked in the newsrooms. We know what makes a story. And we can work together because this agenda is ours. Right now, we are happy to report that we got a grant from ICRHK on Okoa Mama na Mtoto initiative, and we are working to bring out the issues on maternal and child health at the county level. But that does not mean that we are tied to just doing one project. So, people, let us tell the stories. Journalists have a role to impact society, and we have a way of getting them and getting to the editors who are decision makers in the way they like. I would also want to mention one grassroots organization that has not been mentioned, and it's interesting. The women who are here, it is women-led, and this one is also women-led. Help Reach Africa. We don't want to forget you, please. Thank you. A clap for Help Reach Africa. All right. So it is interesting that all these local organizations that we are having are also women-led. So we are here to make sure that the agenda goes forward. So Sasa, when you call upon us, tuko Sasa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene, for that powerful, remarks. And I think we ended well with all the partners. Thank you so much. As Sasa unfolds, we will call you, we will come to you for partnership. Let's do this work together. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. And now, I would like to invite Mama Halima back to the stage. She will be moderating the next session, which is the panel discussion. Mama, welcome.
Thank you. Let me pretend to be a politician and use the podium.
All right, as they are setting up, let's all rise. Let's all rise. Some energy in the room.
Mike, I'm told I need a mic for the online participants.
Okay. Those of us who are not Swahili speakers, and those of us who have come to Kenya for the first time, and those of us who come from the western region here, we eat ugali, right? Say obusuma. Obusuma. And the good thing is that we have Mama Halima here. So we are going to prepare, to make Mama Halima prepare for us ugali. Obusuma, right? So how do we make ugali? Like this, yeah? Okay. All right. Let's make ugali. And you repeat what I'm saying. Mama Halima, hey, with energy. Mama Halima is making ugali with the right hand. Hey, Mama Halima is making ugali with the right hand. Mama Halima is making ugali, change the hand, with the left hand. Mama Halima is making ugali. Hey, this ugali will not be cooked if we are cooking like that with that energy. Let's cook. Mama Halima is making ugali with the left hand. Mama Halima is making ugali with both hands. Mama Halima is making ugali with the left leg. Mama Halima is making ugali with the left leg. All right.
Thank you very much, Irene, for that energy. And I may just announce that we are far from having ugali right now. So once again, I don't even need to introduce myself. I know my name has been called upon. That is a silent prayer. I would say Alhamdulillah, because that adds a few more years to my life. I will be moderating this panel of experts this morning that will be discussing regional advocacy priorities and opportunities, as well as challenges. And the experts will be coming from five African countries, 4 of which will be here, and 1, I hope, will be online, the one, our colleague from Senegal. And together we'll be exploring some of the advocacy priorities, opportunities, and challenges in FP-MNCH. I would love to use just the abbreviation. Amidst the shrinking global fiscal space that we've heard about from so many speakers today, that is actually slowing down progress in these programs and in our countries. So we'll be looking at what African governments are doing to ensure equitable access to quality FP-MNHC services, while also, and Dr. Bashir talked about this, while also carrying a significant debt servicing burden. That is a huge thing on all our shoulders, not only the government. So how are other actors, such as the civil society organization, including the private sector, we will expect comments from the floor, which maybe would be representing private sector perspective. How are they organizing themselves to improve the FP-MNHC landscape, and also holding government to account, holding ourselves to account? And in addressing these and many more questions, allow me now to invite one by one the distinguished, esteemed panel of experts. And I will begin with Mr. Alan Govoga, our host, Program Officer, Division of Reproductive, Maternal, Newborn, and Child Health, Ministry of Health in Kenya, who has several years of experience at policy level and is passionate about seeing preemies survive and thrive. Preemies, premature babies. Karibu sana. Next would be Dr. Samuel Oyiniyi, I hope I pronounced it well, Director of Reproductive Health Division, Federal Ministry of Health in Nigeria. He's also the country's focal person for ending preventable maternal mortality and for the FP 2030 a global partnership network. Dr. Oyiniyi is committed to working closely with CSOs to advance the FP-MNHC agenda. Also from Nigeria, we are privileged to have Dr. Ejike Oji, Chairman of the Permanent Committee of the Association for Advancement of Family Planning. Dr. Oji is also the FP 2030 CSO country focal person and a champion and a devoted advocate for women's health and rights. Moving from Nigeria crossing to Ethiopia, we have Mr. Semene Fekadu, a professional with over 15 years of experience in family planning and reproductive health. Mr. Fekadu is a resource to the Family Planning Technical Working Group in the Ministry of Health and a member of the Ethiopian Healthcare Federation Civil Society Forum, and serves in the National Task Force entrusted with the development of the FP commitment document. May I also take this opportunity to, flying back to West Africa, to invite Dr. Lilian Tokempa from Côte d'Ivoire. I hope I pronounced it well. She's a doctor in foreign languages, is the head of accountability at ASAPSU, Côte d'Ivoire, and in this role, she has played a central role in monitoring the commitments in reproductive and family planning and maternal health. Lastly, unfortunately, but fortunately, and I hope we have Dr. Karim, is it Dr. Karim? Yes. Yeah, who is online from Dakar, Senegal, who has over the years worked tirelessly, engaging the government in discussing pertinent policy issues to hasten implementation, as well as ensuring resources are invested in FP-MNCH. I believe our speakers this morning are going to be adding flavor to the introduction that I provided, but now, since we are short of time, let me go straight to the discussion. A round of applause to all our speakers. Moja, mbili, sijaanguka. Sam, just in case the chair falls back. Please pick me. I cannot afford to lose my back. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're supposed to have 40 minutes of very insightful, in-depth discussion today to just wrap up some of the issues that have been brought during the morning session, as well as to have a peep or a little look into what's really happening in some of the geographies that Sasa is going to be working in, and generally what is happening in sub-Saharan Africa. So may I begin now, since Kenya is our host. May I begin with you, Mr. Govoga? Kenya has made tremendous strides towards improving the maternal, newborn, and child health environment, and also family planning. Would you say what priorities right now that the Kenya government is handling in terms of MNCH, highlighting some of the best buys that you are, or the high impact practices, I would say, or best buys in the MNH sphere, and maybe a little bit around the challenges that you are working to resolve?
So thank you for your questions, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, from her question, I'll go straight to health in Kenya is devolved. So we have the national level that is mandated with giving policies and guidelines for counties to implement. So the role of the national level basically is to direct the counties on what they're supposed to do. So from just ensuring that we have policies in place that are able to address ending preventable maternal mortalities. And some of these policies are sort of, I can say, friendly. One of the key policies that we are seeing in place is to ensure that we have skilled birth delivery increased, or having a mother attended to by a skilled health personnel. And how can this one be reached out? Through universal health care. We find that as long as someone has registered under universal health care, we have the primary health facilities, and they're able to offer those free service delivery. So a mother can go there and deliver. And in this case, we are talking about having delivered by a skilled personnel. For higher level facilities, whereby if a mother has contributed, then they're able also to get those services. The next thing that we are talking about is in terms of a healthcare workforce. We, as a country, there are policies in place that are now advocating for specialization in key areas. There is a nurse who can just specialize in midwifery. That is the passion of that person. So we are able to be in that given department without changeover. That is very key. And there is also a push now to ensure that neonatal nurses are in place, neonatologists, pediatricians, and services are now moving from higher level facilities to lower level facilities, where we are advocating for level 4 hospitals to have at least level 2 newborn units. These are units that are able to cater for sick and small newborn units and able to equip them. The other thing that I can talk of is leveraging on digital platform, which is very key, where we are moving away from hard copies, just to encouraging the use of digital platform. And this one can give really data that is evidence-based. You are able to know where the problem is and how the problem can be addressed. So those are some of the things that we are talking about. In terms of policy, I won't forget, even at the community level, where we have community health promoters, and they play a very key role in ensuring that they work with the mothers during pregnancy, encourage them to deliver in the hospitals. Then post-delivery, they still work with those mothers. They have been trained to identify danger signs. And we have incentives, both provided by the national and the county government, just to ensure that they're able to do the work without any challenges. They have kits that can be used to really ensure that those mothers are followed very well. In terms of challenges, yes, anything cannot lack challenges. I know in terms of infrastructures, and currently we are really struggling with especially the newborn units, We want to move away from those small cubes, which are termed as newborn units, to having standard newborn unit. When you talk about a facility having a newborn unit, there are standards, norms and standards that should be able to be adhered to, and they say we have a level 2 newborn unit, we have a level 3 newborn unit, and the service provided. So that is very, very important. So that's one of the challenges. Then frequent stockouts, health is devolved, so counties are different level. You find some counties have products, some counties don't have products. These are challenges that we also encounter in terms of delivering maternal newborn care health services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very eloquent response. And maybe now I would go to Dr. Samuel Oyini from Nigeria. I wish we had one more mic, if possible. And if I may go a little local, now that we are all advocates here, may I have, there's another one. May I have Kwachi, Beatrice Kwachi? I requested her to be my timekeeper there, so that I see before I take people up to 2:30, because I know I talk a lot. Dr. Oyini, sorry for that disturbance. So could you kindly share a brief overview of the current MNCH landscape in Nigeria? Sasa will be implementing family planning and MNCH interventions there around advocacy. So maybe highlight a few of the recent trends, as well as, again, some of the challenges that you're also working around to resolve. Yeah.
Thank you very much. For Nigeria, you need to understand the constitutional role of health vis-a-vis implementation. Constitutionally, health is in non-concurrent list, and we need to understand it. The national level do oversight, produce documents. You do oversight to the subnational. So the subnational, by constitution, they are independent on health. They can take decisions by themselves. If they like, they can adapt what you have produced. It can take them 10 years, can take them 5 years to do the adaptation. So that is why advocacy, this advocacy that we have brought up is very key over the years, and that's what we have been doing for the sub-national. So we've been trying to bring them on board. So we need to understand that, and that will help us as we draw our plan for Nigeria. Having said that, we have some priorities that we need to look at in the landscape. The political will of this present administration is very high to MNCH, including family planning. You know, there is a saying, when you do the same thing the same way, and you can't expect a better result. So you need to review, evaluate what you have been doing in the past, and see how you can make changes based on your results. So the political will of this administration is very high, up to the presidency level for FP and MNH. The president launched, we call it Earth Renewal Investment Initiative, to drive the process, to show people that, yes, he's committed to reducing maternal mortality. And that brought up a serious change in the way we do coordination. So for coordination, we have been able to renew the coordination effort through different TWGs in the country, which will still continue to do that. So it's very important that we know that. And the coordination at the subnational level is a little bit different because of the constitutional role. For example, the structure of Department of Family Health is not yet solidified at the state level or the subnational level. We have like 36 states, maybe some of us call it province. So out of those 36, we have about 8 that have Department of Family Health. And we have Department of Family Health at the national level. So to drive the process for sustainability at the subnational level is a challenge for us. So these are the areas that we need to look at, and a lot of advocacy is also going to even get the aid to have Department of Family Health as a structure, as a department. So what we have are maybe focal persons at the subnational level, which is not enough for sustainability, both for FP and MNCH, because that's the level of implementation. If structure is not well rooted at the implementing level, then there will be an issue. So advocacy is also seriously needed in this area. Let's look at the capacity building health workforce. We are presently both for MNCH health workforce. We are also affected with the immigration or migration of health workers. We've been able to strengthen the curriculum presently. A lot of effort is going on to retain health workers, especially the skilled health workers. And we have also reviewed the curriculum of both the medical and the nurses and midwifery council for MNCH and for family planning, especially the injectable, the subacute SI. So we've included that in the curriculum of the institutions. We are very, in terms of effective collaboration with partners, is very high. For commodities, without commodities, you can't do programs. That is very important. And presently, we'll be able to quantify. Let me start from the MNH commodity. We'll be able to do quantification for 44 MNH commodities for 5 years. 5 years down the line. And that has seriously improved the way partners are engaging the country to make those commodities available. So you are able to know what is needed in the next 5 years for you to do your commodities. Communication is very effective, both between the federal and the state, which is the sub-national. Now, for the indicators, the trend, somebody said 20 million people. We are making progress, but the progress is not yet enough for us. For example, the maternal mortality ratio that we have now is 512. And when you look at 512, yes, we made progress from the 2013, but the progress is slow. It was 545 that time. And that was even the pregnancy-related deaths. For modern contraceptive prevalent rate, for example, we have been able to move from 12 to 13. And that is 15 in the current 2024 NDHS. So these are areas that we need to know. Our total fertility rate has reduced from 5.6 to 4.8. So the unmet need from 19 has increased to 21. I think we cannot appreciate the effort COVID-19 has made generally, globally, not only for us, even for Africa as a whole. The effect has seriously affected indicators and the performances that we have across board. For perinatal, let me just mention, for perinatal mortality reduced from 69 to 63. So when you look at it, even the childhood mortality reduced from 128 to 110. These are significant when you look at the population. But the trend is I don't know if I still have time to quickly mention one or two things.
Maybe in the second round.
Okay.
Okay. Because I think we have very little time, I guess. But yes, the challenges are certainly we will need to talk about that. So let me now move to Ethiopia, Mr. Fikadu. I know you've been working closely with the government. You are from the CSO community. And Sasa will be engaging deeply in terms of the two technical areas, FP and MNCH. How would you describe, first of all, just the family planning landscape quickly, and what are the priorities with regard to implementing the high impact practices? And share a little bit of challenges so that the Sasa team would know where to set foot on instead of,
get to other places that may not need the resources.
Okay, thank you.
Our organization, the Consortium of Reproductive Health Association, is really working closely with the Ministry of Health. When you look at the Ethiopian family planning landscape, I think in most of the indicators, I think we're really doing good, I would say. And there are a lot of things which contribute to the gains. I would say the first one is the policy environment is really good. When it comes to policy, we have different kind of policies starting from reproductive health policy, equity strategy, we have the private engagement strategy, we have different strategies which will be available and which will make it easy for civil society organizations, also the government to work on family planning. We have the health extension programs that contributed also a lot also when reaching to the community level. And I think the costed implementation plan also helped us a lot in to focus for partners in the ministry also to bring in the resources to the central level and to work on, because this costed implementation plan is also not only in national level, for sub-national level also, it has the intended activities and also the costs. But as one of my colleagues mentioned also, the private sector also contributed a lot for family planning in Ethiopia. So we developed, also in Ethiopia, we have the implementation guideline, public-private mixed guideline, which is really helpful also for us. When it comes to country priority, we have like 4 priority areas to focus on. The first one is service delivery and access, and which is led by also the equity strategy. We have the CBHI in place and also the health extension to move this forward. The second one is the commodity security. For that also we have also a compact agreement which has been signed by the government and partner organizations, where the government will be increasing proportionally the funding for family planning commodities. But here it's not only also having the commodities, but also looking through the chains also, not to have the no stock out level also. We will be working on that also. The demand creation is also one of the priority areas that we have been working, and we will be working in the future also. That's what is also written in the costed implementation plan. Moving from the traditional way also to the e-health, mobile health applications, different to reach out adolescent use. The last focus area is policy and enabling environment. That's where we need a lot of advocacy. Over the couple of months, the past 2 months, we have been doing a lot of advocacy for our parliamentarians and also sub-national level parliamentarians on domestic resource mobilization, because this is a time for Ethiopia where the planning for budget starts in June. So these are the priority areas. But when it comes to challenges, I think to mention some of the challenges, one of the challenges we have is we lack dedicated budget codes for regions. Regions doesn't have dedicated budget codes in their annual plans or in their budgetary lines, so that's one of the challenges, and where we have been doing a lot of advocacy. Although the private sector is doing a lot of FP activities, but reporting is really low into the digital systems. This is one of the challenges also for us. Resource shortage is still a challenge. Okay. But last, I want to emphasize is awareness gap is really huge when it comes to policymakers. So I think we need a lot of intended and timely advocacy initiatives, smart advocacy initiatives for our policymakers and national and sub-national level.
Okay, thank you. So I think like Nigeria, the policy environment is very enabling in the sense that there's commitment and political will from the top leadership. Going to Cote d'Ivoire, Madame Lilian Tomepa. We are aware that Cote d'Ivoire has made progress in family planning, but we are also aware that the current funding situation is threatening the gains that you've attained so far. Given the fact that the current advocacy efforts are fragmented, there's very little resources to go by, there's inadequate capacity, that all of these issues that Sasa is trying to collaboratively address. What has the CSO community done in Cote d'Ivoire to address these key challenges so that you sustain the achievements so far?
Désolé.
In French to explain.
Yes. Alors, on the side of Côte d'Ivoire, for engaging the civil society for various years in order to reduce the mortality rate, we have a warm relationship with the civil society and the planning. We have engaged civil society organizations. We have obtained support from government, and on the level of financing, the civil society has made an alarm on the financing of the health sector. We have obtained the 400 million towards the financing of the health sector. But despite the engaging of the Ministry of Health, we have received thousands of millions towards the support towards the civil society organizations. Then we have also access to health family planning facilities, and now we know that the government cannot attend to all. Yes, we know that the government cannot cover all the health sector requirements, but not only for the women and the adolescents. So that's why today we have decided to prioritize on the school-going children, and the civil society organizations continue to engage the government to finance the access to health facilities.
It seems the CSO community is determined to just get the government going on some of its commitments. Now, remaining in the West African coast, and I hope, sincerely hope, Mr. Karim Diop is online. And based on the work that you've done, Mr. Diop, what are those critical advocacy challenges, because I know you're from the CSO community, you are working around or grappling with to get the government to advance the FPMNCH agenda and to be accountable to some of the outcomes that it had promised to deliver? Over to you, Mr. Diop.
Thank you very much. I want opportunity for me to participate at this important meeting. It's an honor for Pakap Santé to be here with you. And I hope that's another time I have opportunity to be in reality with you. So I will to speak in French as my colleague from Côte d'Ivoire. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. I would like to mention, in line with all the challenges, there are 3 or 4 things. First of all, speaking of policies, the principal thing, it is the slowness in the implementations of the law, especially on reproductive health. For example, a simple example in Senegal, there is a law 2005 which was adopted by the National Assembly. But up to date, in the year 2025, we do not have decrees of application yet. Now, this is perhaps tied to the social cultural context. Maybe some religious beliefs, i.e., on the matter of sexuality, on women and young girls and the youth. The stigma that comes with contraception and also birth spacing. The other challenge is tied to funding, because most funding on reproductive health depends on funding that are international, that is international funding. And in this specific context, especially with the end of USAID support, we have challenges that we need to overcome on the products, i.e. contraceptive products. That's a challenge. It's a real challenge on the increase in the number, locally speaking. And finally, a challenge that I would like to mention is the low participation of the youth in the implementation and elaboration of what concerns them. Brief, in summary, these are some of the challenges, major challenges that we find in our actions. And we are an organization of the civil society that is fighting to overcome these challenges. And of course, with various partners, we are invited in the implementation of the decree, so that will facilitate the implementation of the law. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Diop, I think that's a fertile ground for Sasa to provide the TA once we know what kind of technical assistance, as well as capacity strengthening of the CSOs, so that they are more able and more aggressive in terms of packaging the asks that resonate with the decision makers, so that they move what you are battling with at this moment. Now I'm going to my friend, my colleague, my peer. I'm celebrating my birthday too today. Don't ask me how old. Dr. Ojike Skep, experience in, mobilizing CSOs, experience in engaging governments, not only in Nigeria, but across this region. And I would like to hear from you how, or based on that experience, who would you say is an ideal champion? And how do you think Sasa or any other actor in the room could capacitate these champions so that they sustainably talk about FPNMNCH and forever committed to this agenda? Where do we get these kind of people? People like you, because you are a champion. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I would like to look at who is a champion on two philosophical levels. Number one, across board, for anybody to be said is a champion means that you must have some basic requirements. One, you must be somebody that is passionate about the issue that we are talking about. You're passionate about reproductive health-related issues or family planning. And then the other one is you must also be knowledgeable. If you don't have that knowledge, that means you have to seek it, knowledge in that prime area that you want to work in. And the other one is that you must also be somebody that has influence. If you don't have influence, you won't be able to convince people. And when I mean influence, you must have what I call a convening power. A convening power that people will want to listen to you, people will want to follow you, and you can go to places without any fear or favor. The other one, you also must be a dedicated person to the cause that you're talking about. The reason why you must have all this is passionate and dedicated is that there are challenges that will push you back and make you wonder, why should I continue to do this? So those are the basic things that you must have as a champion. Then laying that on that, somebody that is an advocate, you cannot be one size fits all. So in other words, once you have that as a basic thing, then there are different areas of the community or society that you would say you have to now kind of specialize in. And then it's your person type that will speak to that. And let's start from the legislature. You know, in every country, it's the legislative arm that makes appropriations, and then the executive arm is supposed to implement it. So if we have a champion who will want to make sure that he gets laws passed in the National Assembly or the Parliament, it must be somebody that is within that environment that they respect. So the person will now have all these issues, all these things we are talking about. So that legislator should have all these things that I have mentioned. Mm-hmm. Then the second thing is, if it is not the legislative arm, you are in the executive. That means you also must have all of these other things that I talked about. And then the civil societies will be able to reach you and give you whatever things that you're lacking. So that goes down. I'm very delighted that the media was mentioned here today, and there's somebody from the media. In the civil society space, we've also found out that a lot of people don't pay attention to the media in terms of capacitating them and bringing them on board to be advocates too. They shouldn't be used only as a tool. They should also be advocates themselves. And I give you an example. Anything that you're doing in the PR space, or not just in the PR, anything you're doing, and you have not planned to involve the media properly, it's like winking at a very pretty lady or a handsome man in the dark. Mm-hmm. The person will not see you. So the media, in some crimes, they even invest 25% of their resources on the media to make sure that they get across. So those are these, and it goes down to, is it the women groups or is it the young people and all that? Mm-hmm. Then let us now go to, in terms of capacitation, you talked about. Now, for you to capacitate, you must give the person the means and the ways to engage. Number one is knowledge. You must build the knowledge of the champion. Number two, you must show that influencer or whoever the networking capacities. You must give them that network capacity, because everything is about inclusivity and collaboration. One person cannot do it all. The other one is resources. Advocacy costs money. Let's not deceive ourselves. So if we are going to support any champion, we must make sure we take care of the person's basic needs. If the person has to travel from one place to the other, we must provide those resources if the person doesn't have it. And then also, the person must be in the environment. One thing that is changing all the time is the way to advocate. The way I advocated to Sam today is not the way I'm going to advocate to him tomorrow, because there's a lot of disruptions going on in the world. A good example is technology. So any advocate now must be conversant with technology. At age 70, I'm using the tech as if I'm a Gen Z or a millennial, because that is what is disrupting the world so much. Mm-hmm. So all advocates must be tech savvy, because there might be, take for example in Nigeria, the population is youthful. And then if you are going to talk to young people and you're not tech savvy, they'll be laughing at you. Because the only way you can reach them and make them be part of you, say, okay, let's talk about, okay, just take my QR code. Take my, you don't give them cards. You say, oh, do you have oh yeah, take my QR code. Ah, this man is tech savvy. You're already building relationship. So these are some of the things that, and we've seen it work. A good example is the champions who have identified when Pathfinder did the training in smart advocacy. We also collaborate with the UNFPA. We did a smart advocacy training and formed a core group. That core group, because of the way we have brought champions together, has gone around. And we've been able to, a very major success we had to make the government release $4 million for family planning commodity support last year. So that's a very good outcome to show that this works.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Oji. And I like what you said, winking at a handsome guy or a beautiful woman in the dark. So the media, if they're still here, they are part and parcel of the work that advocates in these different countries are doing. I'll remain with you, Dr. Ojike, because I want to, and I know my timekeeper is telling me we have only 5 more minutes, and if you would bear with me, I would single-handedly add 5 more minutes to that so that we could have some concluding remarks, especially around the different countries' financing mechanisms. What are we right now seeing, or what are we doing, both in especially the government space, so that we touch on those things that Dr. Oyini talked about. No commodity, no program. Commodities come with money. How are we prepared in this changing fiscal landscape as Africans? So I'm still with you, and 5 more minutes would be more 5 minutes. So just bear with us. 10 more minutes would not harm us. To add to your response, what do you see are the opportunities to strengthen the advocacy ecosystem? And with you, I may say Nigeria, but I feel you're an African brain. So it's not just Nigeria, but in the sub-Sahara region. And do you foresee some hiccups and challenges? Because we know CSO's culture is one of competing for resources for many years. Now, an ecosystem requires a collaborative, complementing efforts, sharing lessons, sharing data, working together because we are working towards the same goal. How can we have that ecosystem and push aside the spirit of competition, whether that is going to be a challenge? So that Sasa would put that in our pockets and say we should be addressing that. Welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me start. I think somebody has mentioned it here, or a few people. The new isolationism of the present administration in the U.S. removed a substantial amount of resources from the development aid that goes to most African countries. For me, people will look at it as a negative, but I see it as a huge opportunity. In fact, it affected our organization. We had a USAID grant, and I got a love letter from them that we are going to stop the destined for the 90-year review. And about a few weeks after that, they told us it stopped. And it was just 2 days for us to do a training for journalists in terms of advocacy and budget tracking. So I had to get back to the journalists and say, look, I'm so sorry, this is what has happened. And then, of course, what do you think, Dr. Oji? What do you think, Dr. Oji? And I didn't waste time to go to the television and everywhere to say, this is a wake-up call for African leaders. That I cannot blame Trump to say, I want to keep money for Americans. But I will blame African leaders who wait for others to come and solve their problems. So, and I made such a talk that I was even, somebody from the USAID called me and said, okay, what are you talking? I said, you heard me right. We don't need anybody's money if we work very hard within our own countries. So, and that's exactly what happened. And then one of the good outcomes of some of those, a lot of people we are talking to, our president put $300 million in the sector-wide votes to cushion that effect. So if that hadn't happened, that money wouldn't have come out. You see the negative and then the opportunity in it and then the positive thing that has come out. The other one is the opportunity out there to, most of African countries' population are youthful. I had mentioned about tech before. What does it mean? We have Gen Zs and millennials making most of our population. And anybody will agree that technology has been the most disruptive sector of our lives. Majorly positively, but also some negative parts of it, but majorly positive. So this is the time for us to look at how do we use technology to reach those underserved young ones. Because let's face the facts. Let's say for a place like Nigeria, it is the youths that have not started producing. If they take on the fertility rate that we have now, they are the ones that will drive our population to 450 million in 2050. So we can use technology to reach them. The other one is what's going on here today. Can we please applaud Sasa? This is collaboration across the African continent. It's a huge opportunity. So what do I say? So we need to look at domestic resource mobilization to support this sort of collaborative initiative. We'll learn lessons from each other. I'll give you an example. Remember we were in Malawi years ago on the focal persons meeting, Anglophone. And Sam was there too, if you remember, in Malawi. And then during the session, the state country session, I said I wasn't a Nigerian anymore, that I was a Malawian. So I joined the Malawi team. And I said to them, I'm now a Malawian. Tell me, how did you increase your CPR so fast, especially in young people? And in that room, they told me what they have done, being able to take services to the young people. And I said, didn't you have a problem? They said they had a pushback. One woman said her child was 12, and they gave her a method, and she had the implant, and then there was bleeding, and they put a bandage. That's how she knew. And then she complained to the minister because she had a direct contact. And when the minister invited everybody, they found out that she was already sexually active. So that's a big lesson for us that I took back to Nigeria. I said, how can we do that? So these are some of the, I would say, opportunities. In terms of what are the pushbacks and what are the challenges that we have, no doubt the money that has been removed by USAID is a major challenge. So, and how do we look at it? Is domestic resource mobilization, which is now what we are championing in the country. Like our family planning in terms of Addison was funded by 97%. But there are other areas the government has put money, which is much more than what it was before. So there are also, in terms of the negativities, there are things that are coming out. So the other one, I think my good brother here mentioned the population depletion in terms of the workforce. USAID used to train a lot of our primary family planning providers. So this one has now made them in the ministry to know it's time to wake up. They have to look for resources to do that training. So those are some of the things that I see, the good parts of it. It is bad in the real sense, but it's an opportunity. And then, of course, no doubts, because of competition for resources, resources will always be a problem. But I want to finally note an example I always give in Nigeria. In 2006, I did an analysis of all the international development aid coming into Nigeria. How much of that was our GDP? It was less than 1% of GDP. 2006. So what this means to me, if our government processes in terms of using our resources, if we'll improve accountability by just 10%, we wouldn't need any development aid in Africa. And I'm looking at Sam, and I'm saying this. Put your money in improvement of good governance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ojike. We are winding up, and I think I'll just request Kenya, Nigeria, just in a minute or so, to touch on the financial or financing mechanisms that we can harness in this, may I call, quote unquote, bleak environment of funding cuts from global funders. What is it that we are going to harness and make sure these programs are sustained? And Mr. Diop from Senegal, once the round is over, I'll come back to you for a concluding statement. And I'm interested with Dr. Ojike, your statement, final statement, which is a minute each. I would request that it anchors on advocacy ecosystem, and the spirit of competition for resources. That's a bit tacky, and I want to hear it from you based on, once I'm done with the financing mechanism, the final statement, I'm still eager to hear from you. Sure. So from Kenya, what are we doing in harnessing, the financing mechanisms right now to ensure these programs progress?
So thank you very much. I know in terms of financing health sector is a bit tricky from even what Dr. Bashir shared. But I believe through advocacy and engaging all the stakeholders, as I'd mentioned earlier, health is devolved. Just involving the county government in terms of planning can give a good indication on where to invest, so that it doesn't look specifically that advocating for something is left for other people, but it's a full responsibility of the government. So I believe with good communication, both at the national and the county level, then we should be able to get the right financial support from both domestic. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Sir, Doctor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me just go straight. First is we need to have a domestic resource remobilization, which has been mentioned. We need to look inward. Africa, we need to begin to look inward, either collectively and to know how to systematically produce this commodity within Africa. I know Kenya is very good in TXA. Another country within Africa can look at oxytocin. Another can look at another part of FP, so that we are able to look at inwards. The World Trade DG, Kojawala, mentioned recently and said, Africa, begin to trade among yourself. Begin to produce commodities among yourself. Open your border up. Let's look at what our strength is, different country. If Nigeria is good in calibrated rape, we open it up for other Africa. So that with that, we can look at what we have and fill the gap and be self-sufficient. So it's very important that we do at domestic mobilization. Yes, we can also look at taxation. Some people don't like user fees, but the way we have now, we can do a control user fees and bring in health insurance. Insurance is very important. Some countries, most of the implementations are under insurance. And that is how we can seriously make it, if we can scale up and make our insurance, health insurance, efficient enough and tax them more. I know countries that the insurance, they are the one that build facility, they are the one that procure commodities and make sure that they are available. So we need to strengthen insurance. And that insurance can take up a lot of what we are looking at, the health insurance. Very key, very important to us. Then I talk of user fees, I talk of taxation, and I think with that, we can also increase our collaboration with other partners, financing donors that are still available to strengthen all these areas so that we can be self-sufficient. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So maybe let me fly to Senegal. A minute from Mr. Diop. What are your concluding remarks? Mr. Diop? Oh, Mr. Diop, au revoir.
Yeah.
Oh, you're there?
Right.
Okay, please.
One take home for me is to work together. It's time for Africans to work together and to find a local fund. For me, private fund local fund, domestic fund, is a key for improve health reproductive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Diop, for being very succinct. Madam Lillian, Dr. Lillian?
Okay. Just
I would like to say that in Ivory Coast, we have many challenges. We have challenges due to the implementations, considering domestic sensitizations of goods and funds. We have that model in other areas. To fill all the gaps, not just that, but also to divulgate all the work throughout the country. And also this kind of consortiums will be good initiatives that will allow us to reach together as Africa, as a region, as a bloc, to improve family planning and also to reduce maternal mortality. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think what I would think is that we have to invest in capacity building. I would say capacitating civil society organization and also healthcare providers. Also, I think that should be the focus. I would say we have to diversify also our funding sources. I think what we have been trying is also in Ethiopia we have this sin tax has been levied by the government. It has been levied, but it was not going to the health sector. So what we have been doing is like advocating for this to come into the health sector. So we have to somehow find ways to diverse and also the private sector, to involve the private sector. This also would be a good thing, I would say. Last but not least, I think improving coordination and collaboration would be one thing we have to do. I think that's what we witnessed also last week. We managed to bring in 4 ministerial offices to sign on the new teenage pregnancy roadmap 2025-2030. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Social Affairs, Ministry of Health, because it was left for Ministry of Health, but now collaboratively they took the initiative. So I think this kind of collaborative activities should be, I think, in place in the future.
Thank you very much. I'm back to Dr. Ojike, sorry. And I know people will be wondering, how come we're not making comments, we're not asking questions? Yes, we will. 3 minutes for that, for anyone who will be having a very burning issue, because I feel like we haven't really extracted the wealth of experience and knowledge from our panelists. But please, 3 questions and 3 questions or comments or some kind of input after Dr. Ojike speaks, please.
Repeat your particular question.
Oh, the particular question is that we are out here amplifying the need for collaboration, inclusivity, complementarity, you can use all those adjectives, so that we build an advocacy ecosystem within our countries at national level, subnational level, whether it's a federal system or a devolved system like in Kenya, to ensure that FPMNCH remains on the radar screen of our decision makers. Funding, policy implementation is more efficient, and so forth. So in that environment where CSOs have always been competing for resources, outwitting, without realizing that we are all serving the same goals in our own countries, how do we build that? What should we do as CSOs? What should we undo for us to have a healthy advocacy ecosystem?
Okay, thank you very much.
I heard you talk yesterday somewhere, and I thought I'm going to coin a question.
Okay, thank you, Halima. I've been always somebody who believes in economies of scale. And why I say that is, if you look at what UNFPA is doing around Africa in terms of commodities pricing, they are using economies of scale. They are getting every country to bring their family planning commodities into one basket. So they negotiate and get big wins. In terms of that, I want to see Africa thinking that way in terms of commodity purchase. And in all not just family planning, in MNCH reproductive health commodities. If we do that, first of all, let's reduce the per capita costs of those commodities. That way, it goes back to the second one. We now should go to the total market approach. Let's not deceive ourselves. We can't continue to subsidize. The total market approach is the best way to make sure that anything that we want, we will get it. Everybody will be part of it. There's a saying in my place, if you give somebody something free, when he goes home, if it's something that is good for his family, maybe a hypertensive drug, you give him free. When he goes home, he hangs it on the wall. But if he paid, even if it's half a cent to it, when he goes home, if he's a man, he will be calling on his wife, my good wife, please give me what I want to drink my medicine. So that means once people are part of a thing, they're also going to make sure they commit to it. Then finally, in terms of the advocacy you're talking about, I'm so excited to see what Sasa is doing and going to continue to do. I want to see more of these collaborative approaches across Africa, because Africans are the best suited to deal with our problems. There's no doubt about it. You can't come to my community and tell me how to solve a problem. I don't have to learn it. It's already in me. So Africans must learn to collaborate on that level. And then in doing that collaboration, remember that our target is advocating to the people who have the resources. The parliaments appropriate resources, the executive implements the Appropriation Act. I would like to see Halima in this room. Who is from the AU? Nobody. Who is from ECOWAS? Nobody. Who is from EXA? Is it EXA? You call the East Central, this thing? Nobody. I would like us to make deliberate efforts to bring those people in the room. When they do, they have your interparliamentary unions. Let me give you an example, in my final word. When our president, Obasanjo, in 2001, was the chairman of African Union, the African Union said that every country should make sure that 15% of their national budget was dedicated. Do you know, Halima, that is the reason. That's what we used to plaster our this thing every year. We say Malawi is done this. It's name and shame. So it's important for us to do that. If we do that, then the civil society people will now see the importance of coming together. We already have a good thing to talk about in Nigeria. We sat down and then saw that everybody was doing pockets of advocacy and family planning. We decided to form a coalition called Association, which I chair the management committee. Is there an organization that has 50 international organizations, local CSOs doing on family planning. When it comes to advocacy and family planning, go to AFP. We were able to successfully advocate for federal government to put counterpart funding for family planning for the first time in Nigeria. I want to end there.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with me. I know time is up. Is there any burning question, or somebody has to get it out to have space for lunch? No? Then round of applause to our speakers.
And take it to the women.
Yes.
Take it to the women. I'm building a 5 million women database in Nigeria. Women are going to solve the problem of Nigeria.
And we are here, women. I think Côte d'Ivoire, you had a comment? Yeah? If not, then we're going to be winding up.
Thank you very much. Countries, can you, members of the panel, do you have an experience of advocacy locally, nationally, intranational level? It matters to do with private institutions, because in Ivory Coast it is something a bit hard. We have some experiences that you have that we can benefit from. I would also like to make a point. In that advocacy, it is good to consider sensitization. Why? Will be actors who could accompany us. When I speak of private actors, for example, we have the Ministry of Budget, the Ministry of Planning, the Ministry of Economy, who could whom maybe could accompany us in order to have positive actions. Thank you.
I think if I understood you well, you're looking for some experiences from the panelists here in terms of engaging the private sector so that they're part and parcel of, resource mobilization, the advocacy community if possible. And maybe we may not go throughout, who is ready to respond to that? Because I want to tell him that's an animal a lot of us as advocates have really, was difficult for us to address. But Dr. Ojike, in a minute.
Sure. The Association for the Advancement of Family Planning will have 2 yearly meetings, sector actors, and they collectively said they were now going to fund family planning commodities to the tune of $4 million between now and 2030. That was a big success because we brought them into the room, they were part of the conversation, and we're now working with them, and we're trying to grow that to make sure that the private foundations in Nigeria also contribute to family planning related issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think a round of applause. We are concluding now. One more question, Madam? So don't blame me for delaying you for lunch. Madam, I'm pushing it to you. Anyway, Karibu.
My name is Dr. Mildred Mudani. I'm the Executive Director for Help Reach Africa. Maybe I really want to, but I just wanted to know if there is any experience in advocacy. And in that first year of life, the majority of deaths are in the neonatal period. And in that neonatal period, the majority of deaths are in the first week of life. And in that first week of life, the majority of deaths are in the first 24 hours of life. It would have been great if we were able to also hear there's some experience on how you use advocacy, the experience that you have to protect the child from dying, the newborn from dying. Of course, from the bigger children now, we are talking of those leading causes of death in the child, the diarrhea, the infections, respiratory illnesses, immunizable diseases like measles. Yeah, it would have been nice to hear something on the child.
Something.
I think I've not heard so much.
Yeah, you're very right. And I also would like to request if there's anyone, we are all experts here in the room, who has done that level of advocacy, may wish to comment on that on the part of our panelists, if it is something you'll be venturing into or you've done. If there is no experience in that, then we will not be able to respond to the question, which is fine. That's a landscape. Those are areas that Sasa and other partners will be venturing into. We will take it as a reminder. Okay? Anybody here? Just a minute, Doctor.
Okay. Let me just share a few ones we've been able to do. Firstly, initially we couldn't get the subnational states to contribute funds to the both FPIM and CH implementation in country. So what we did is funding available from donors. We make it like a point of duty. When you go for training, whatever you're doing, you pay advocacy visit to the police before you start. Right? Like 8 states that are contributing to fund natal nursing, and that has seriously helped us. We also did similar thing for Nursing and Midwifery Council, and we are now starting some cadre that were not there before through advocacy. We now have neonatal nursing in the cadre and some other cadre that we have been able to include, which were not there before. So, and this was done through advocacy. Those are few areas that we'll be able to make progress through advocacy in country.
Okay, thank you very much. I think, Madam Ivory, now, Kwachi, what's the time? Just give me the time, not the minutes, because I'm lost. If it is going to 2, they will close lunch, and 1:54. 1:54. is it okay that we end here? Yes, because now I'm feeling guilty, even though I would like to appreciate panelists from the 5 countries, from government and the CSOs. I think, ladies and gentlemen, this panel has been a barometer for the country-level energy in FPMNHCH. I think it has bared witness to the ongoing efforts in this continent and also the unwavering commitment to innovate around FPMNHC financing, to scale up implementation of best practices and best buys in MNCH, as well as to build citizen-led voices through a coordinated advocacy, as well as strive to strengthen. Let's open the borders. Let's use the expertise let's use the mechanisms that will allow commodities to flow. And I'm also saying this, that all this call for action, a call to action, the energy from the panel, the silence and attentiveness from the room, shows that Sasa is a catalytic project, has been provided with a soft landing. Soft landing meaning it is really, the ground is fertile for this initiative to realize its mission. I think CSOs are already advancing in appreciating their comparative advantage. They are also already leveraging resources and expertise from one another, and they're also collectively planning towards national goals and guided by national frameworks as long as the African Union or the Africa level protocols that all our governments have signed. And in that spirit, I think as we live here, as Africans, I feel like the sky is our limit. No resources externally, yes, we are going to grapple with that, but there's still energy to look inwardly and make sure we are advancing what we care most about. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to lunch, but I need to be guided. There's my commander-in-chief here, so I go back to her. So, thank you.
Let's take a photograph.
Let us appreciate this team. Our official photographer, this could also be a moment. All right, as they are taking the photo, I would like to just... I'd just like to let us know that we are almost coming to a close. We'll be inviting our country director, Japaigo, to give remarks, a vote of thanks. And then we will have group photo, but this is how we're going to do it. There are a lot of people outside, so we will just have group, like table group photos like that. So we might not all fit in one frame, but will be several frames that will make one big frame. I hope I'm clear. All right. So let's appreciate the team that was here, please. Thank you very much. Nyachae, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think it's been a long day. And for me, I think the people who are still in this room are really the true advocates. Can you clap for yourselves? You know, it still demonstrates you have the passion, you have the drive to get this moving. So I will give just a quick vote of thanks. And because I can guarantee you will forget a lot of things that were said, maybe just 3 or 4 nuggets that perhaps we need to take home with us. So again, just to thank the Alliance members, I think led by PPDRO, for really helping to coordinate, to support the organization for this, and really for choosing Kenya as the country to, you know, to take off to the skies, or maybe to the moon, and further than that. So we do appreciate that. The government of Kenya, we had representatives from the different governments, Nigeria, I think, and also participants from these countries, Ivory Coast, Ethiopia, Senegal, Tanzania, Uganda, we do appreciate your finding time to come here. I think the foundation, Sam, please convey our sincere gratitude when you meet Bill himself. I'm sure in your role as the regional coordinator for East Africa, it may happen, so do convey our appreciations to the team. I think the partners, the local organizations, I think HENET and the other counterpart coalitions in Ethiopia, Kora, I think in Nigeria. Please, if I don't remember your name, please bear with me, but just to appreciate the CSO coalitions that are really putting a voice to the advocacy. I think we did see some academia team. I think I see the team from Aga Khan University. We appreciate you. Also, we had a representative from the Kenya Women Parliamentarian Association, which is also a voice of, advocacy. We do appreciate that. The grassroots team, I think the team that has worked with us, Advocacy Fanikisha, Touch a Life Foundation and the rest, we do appreciate UNFPA, the other local and international implementing organizations. I have seen them in the room, in Supply, Jacaranda, many of you too, many to mention, but we do appreciate your being in this room. I think we have media, and like we had, they are an important part of, advocacy. We do appreciate the media. Wanahabari, I did see Di Frontera somewhere, and I think the local radio and TV stations, we do appreciate that. I think there's a team behind the scenes that was doing logistics. Can we give a clap for this team? We've done a good work, just making sure the travel support, our coordination is great. Also, just to thank the internal team of consultants. I think some of them are not here. They were online. I think Beth, Sabrina, Halima, who have been working behind the scenes to make this a reality. NCPD also for, I think, the work that we do as part of the government team. We have a lot of you, the FP 2030 focal persons, our CSO focal person in Kenya here, and I think also in Nigeria. We do appreciate you. And please, if I have not mentioned your name, allow me to wink at you in public. We appreciate you. We know you have done a good job. We do appreciate that. 2-3 things, because we are going to forget a lot of things. One, PPDRO and the team was very keen to call this an alliance. An alliance is not necessarily a project, so we are hoping in another few years to come, you'll have very many logos of a lot of you here, because we will really have created a very strong movement of advocates, not just in Kenya, not just in your countries, but in Africa. Number 2, this is our problem. Advocacy is our problem. Maternal, newborn, child health, family planning, this is our problem. That's why we as Africans are taking this head on. Whether USAID, whether BMGF close their funding, it is our problem, and we shall drive this forward as advocates in this room. I think, again, the third maybe nugget for me, we really need to attack this from both sides, and I think our chief guest reminded us, up, the key decision makers, but also down, from the grassroots, from the women who are really the beneficiary of these services, who are really feeling the pain of our lack of investment in this. So attack both from the top and the bottom. And I think it was very clear, again, one of the other messages is the 4th point, to really be bold. And I think if you remember the message from our chief guest is really to light the fire where? Under their feet. I think he was being modest. You say you light the fire on their butts, but he was modest. So let us be bold in the efforts that we are going to take forward. I think the other nugget for me is that we really have to do this collectively. No one organization is able to do this alone. This is a collective effort. Finally, we really have to think, and this is a message I think Margaret put across, we really have to think about the what. What are we advocating for? How are we advocating for? What are the tools that we're going to use to advocate? Who are the people that are going to help to advocate for us? So again, please, if you forget everything, please take these nuggets back home with you, and we look forward to continuing to engage. As we move forward in terms of next steps, I think for the country, we'll be continuing to engage country, co-creation activities. I think for all the countries that Sasa is represented in. Some of it has already been happening by way of the data collection, the landscaping and scoping, and there'll be a country sort of co-creation activities to really ensure we've aligned our advocacy priorities. We were discussing out there and saying if you're in a stadium and everybody is making noise, you don't hear what is being said. So we need in moving forward, that will be something that will be counting on you. You will see further invitations with us to really, at the country level, to really refine the things, the tactics that we use, and the tools that we'll be using to advance maternal, newborn, child health, and family planning. Thank you so much, and as you travel back, I really wish you well, safe journey, and thank you for being here. Back to you, moderator. Are we closing with a prayer? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have been requested that I call one person to pray. Dr. Mudanyi, would you please do us the honors? And then I would like to inform us that we've been having demonstrations around the city. And right now, the information that I'm getting is that CBD, the Central Business District, is chaotic. And I would like to advise us to avoid that area as much as possible. So if you're new to Nairobi, please talk to us. Our organizers, please all rise. Let's all rise so that our guests know whom to talk to. Yeah, please talk to us. We should be able to tell you which routes are okay and which routes are not okay. Please do not go into the CBD. We do not want us to be get into the chaos. Dr. Mudanyi. As Dr. Mudanyi comes, after this, we will have group photos. So I know we want to get the Sasa launch. I know we want to get also the banner there. So it's just random group photo, right? Okay, fine.
Thank you. May I request us to rise up in honor of God? Let us pray. Mighty and everlasting God, we are in your presence this afternoon. And we want to thank you, Lord, that you have been with us from the time that we started in the morning until this time. There's a lot that has happened, Lord. We've had a wonderful time listening to the speakers, from our chief guest to all those who have spoken. And dear Father, we're just grateful that we can get together as partners from different countries to speak on one agenda. We desire that our mothers will not die. We desire that our newborns and our children will not die. And dear Father, we know that when we are able to do this and succeed using advocacy, we just want to pray that our countries will be blessed. May it be that you give us favor, that where we reach out at the up level with those who are policymakers, or the down level with those other grassroots, may you give us favor that we'll have good results. We desire to meet again one time to talk of the success that we'll have had in this program. We thank you, Father, and we honor you. We want to pray a blessing upon each and every one in this place. As we leave this place to go our various destinations, we want to pray that you protect us. We have had the news that the city is under some unrest, but we want to pray for divine protection. For every member who is leaving this place, going back to our various destinations, may you protect us. May you be with us together with our families. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Restaurant again? On the all right, so let's take photographs. We have lunch. The milkers are just outside as you get out. where we are registering. We'll get our meal cards, and then we'll be going to the restaurant, the main restaurant on ground floor. Yeah? Sasa. Hey, Sasa. 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 All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. You can take your photos.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami.
What would you like? The banner?
Are we going to access the video from here? What's your You were streaming live on YouTube. Awesome. So I give you my number. SMS or
Hello, how are you?
Okay, group photo, we are looking here. This is our cameraman. Colleagues on stage. I want to jump.
Video people, please help us with the lights. Video people, you switched off one of your lights. It was helping us.
It's okay, it's okay.
That's okay?
Who are these? Hold on, let me join you. Wait until I join before you take the photograph. Hold on. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, we are looking forward here, please.
I do it better in Swahili. Use your phone. Use your camera.
Okay, we're facing forward, thank you.
Anasema upande wa